Chapter 3373. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang lowered his head to look at the round stone. If this place hadn't been destroyed back then, they might be able to find some clues. But now, it was definitely not possible, because once it was destroyed, the clues left behind would also disappear. Although the mountains and rivers could be restored to their original appearance, the footprints left behind by living beings would definitely not be restored. In other words, there was no longer any value here. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and transmitted his voice, "Let's go," directly to the inner area. Wang Changyuan nodded and turned around to lead Qin Feiyang and the others, activating the assistant's divine technique and rushing towards the inner area like lightning. Sure enough, they're here for me. The inner area. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the others in the image, the coldness in the fire dragon's eyes became thicker. From the central area to the inner area, at normal speed, it would take half a month. But now, Wang Changyuan activated the whisk divine technique the entire time. Even if there were a large number of fierce beasts blocking the way, it would only take 4 days. A long mountain ridge entered their line of sight. The mountain ridge was bare, and from afar, it looked like a giant python lying across the horizon, dividing the earth into 2 halves. Shua. Wang Changyuan led Qin Feiyang and the others, landing in front of the mountain ridge and looking into the depths. In the void deep in the mountain ridge, the power of the Yin demon was like a black fog, enveloping everything. A gust of wind blew, and the black fog rolled and surged like fierce beasts. "Young master, this is the entrance to the inner area." Wang Changyuan scanned the inner area, his eyes full of seriousness. Roughly estimated that the power of the inner area was at least 50 times that of the outer area. At this time, the central area they were in was only 5 times that of the outer area. 5 times, 50 times, what was the difference? So, even a super expert like Pei Tianhong only dared to stroll around the mountain ridge and didn't dare to truly enter the inner area. Naturally, he didn't know what the inner area was like. Not to mention the core area. Brave people would still dare to stroll in the inner area for a short while, but the core area, no one in the sky cloud realm had ever entered. Because Pei Tianhong had said that the power of the Yin demon in the core area was at least 100 times that of the outer area. Who could withstand this? Furthermore, before Pei Tianhong said this, he even added a word. It was said that the Yin Mo power in the core area was 100 times more than the border area. There were too many possibilities in this rumor, because the word said was equivalent to something that had not been confirmed. It was possible that there was no Yin demon power in the core region, and it was just a stretch of green mountains and clear waters. It was also possible that the Yin demon power in the core region was 100 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. All of these were possible. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and turned to look at Madman. He transmitted his voice, "Senior brother, we will stay here for a few days. You can take this opportunity to go in and absorb the Yin demon energy." Madman was slightly taken aback and raised his head to look at the inner region. If he were to absorb it here, it would definitely be twice the effort for half the result. This was because the density of the Yin devil power here was incomparable to that of the central region. It could be said that it could shorten the time by more than half. For example, if he needed half a month, he could do it in 4 to 5 days. But why did Qin Feiyang want to stay here? White-Eyed Wolf, Wang Changyuan, and Pei Tianhong all looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Was there any meaning in staying here for a few days? "I stopped here to wait for the fire dragon's lackeys. We used support spells the entire time, but they shouldn't have. Otherwise, they would have caught up while we were in the center." Qin Feiyang thought. Why wait for them? Madman and the other 2 and White-Eyed Wolf were suspicious. When they arrive, we will catch them all in one fell swoop to prevent any future trouble. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. So it's like this. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were enlightened. Indeed, if they let these people leave the Yin demon land, they would definitely destroy the balance of the sky cloud domain with the blood word mark. Wait, after being controlled by the fire dragon, can they leave the Yin demon land? Wang Changyuan thought and hurriedly asked. I'm not sure. Although the situation here is very similar to the God-demon forest in the Nether King's Hell, there are still some differences, so I'm not sure. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Since that's the case, just in case, let's get rid of them together. Wang Changyuan's eyes flashed with killing intent. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and transmitted his voice. According to the normal speed, it should take about 10 days for them to arrive here. Go and absorb the power of the blood demon. All right. Madman nodded. Wait. White-Eyed Wolf suddenly stopped Madman and secretly said, Didn't you have something calling you? What about now? The summoning power is still there, and it's getting stronger. Madman transmitted his voice. It can't be in the inner area, right? White-Eyed Wolf was surprised. It's hard to say. It's also possible that it's in the legendary core area. Madman's eyes flashed. He waved his hand and used the power of the blood demon to form a barrier to protect Qin Feiyang and the others. He then stepped into the inner area and didn't go far. He was about half a mile away from Qin Feiyang and the others. Immediately, he sat cross-legged in the air. All the pores on his body opened and a powerful suction force was born. The power of the Yin demon from all directions surged towards Madman like a tide. Originally, it was only about 50 times, but as a large amount of Yin demon power surged over, 60 times, 70 times, 80 times, it continued to soar. In the end, the density of the Yin demon power around Madman reached a shocking level. Right now, perhaps only White-Eyed Wolf dared to approach Madman. If it was Qin Feiyang, Pei Tianhong, or Wang Changyuan, they would have died on the spot. I thought that entering the Yin demon land would be a disaster, but I didn't expect that it would help him instead. Pei Tianhong smiled bitterly. That's right. I just don't know what changes will happen when his god power evolves into the power of the blood demon, but my personal guess is that it will be amazing. Wang Changyuan transmitted. No matter how amazing it is, can it compare to Big Brother? White-Eyed Wolf took out another jar of black tortoise divine wine and said with disdain. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Only you know how to find a sense of presence. Qin Feiyang stared at White-Eyed Wolf and then looked at Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan. He smiled. Tell me more about the law of strength, law of wind, and the fifth profound of the war law. Okay. The two nodded. The highest profound. Qin Feiyang didn't want to think about it now. He had to raise his cultivation to the ruler realm first. What do you mean? They actually stopped to absorb the Yin demon power? Inner area. Fire Dragon looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman, its brows tightly knitted together. Especially Madman. It was especially concerned now. Not only could it absorb the Yin demon power, the barrier formed by God power could even isolate the Yin demon power. It had been in the Yin demon land for many years, and this was the first time it had encountered such a situation. What kind of monster was this Madman? No matter what he wants to do, we can't let him do as he wants. Fire Dragon's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at the sky and shouted, Where are the divine generals? Shua. 3 blood-colored figures flew in from the distance and landed in front of Fire Dragon. They bowed. Greetings, Lord. It was a male, female, and an old man over 70 years old. The man was tall and sturdy. He was about 40 years old and was about 2 meters tall. He was wearing a pair of blood-red pants and his muscles were bulging. He was like a small giant, and his whole body was filled with a valiant aura. The female was also around 30 years old. She was around 7 meters tall and wore a blood-red dress. Her eyes were cold and filled with blood-red light, like she was a merciless killing god. The old man in his 70s also wore a blood-red robe. Although he looked old, his eyes were filled with a shocking viciousness. Fire Dragon pointed at Qin Feiyang and the others in the image and said with a sinister smile, They are at the entrance of the inner area. Go over and surround them with the battle generals. Remember, leave them alive. This emperor will personally kill them. Yes. The 3 respectfully replied before turning and leaving like lightning. All battle generals listen to my order. Immediately activate the support spells and head to the entrance of the inner area. Immediately after, the Fire Dragon issued another command before it got up and merged into the black fog, disappearing without a trace. Central area. The 100 battle generals received the order and their eyes flashed with blood-red light. They immediately led the people and beasts behind them to activate the support spells and head towards the inner area. In the blink of an eye, another few days passed. The efficiency of absorbing the demon power in the inner area was indeed different. In just a few days, 99% of the divine power in Madman's body had evolved into blood demon power. There was only 1% left. As long as he was given a bit more time, he would be able to completely evolve. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, deafening rumbles came from the distance. Qin Feiyang and the others immediately stood up and looked towards the central area. They hadn't seen anyone yet. It can't be them, right? Wang Changyuan was surprised. Didn't they say that it would take at least 10 days? How could it be so fast? White-eyed Wolf looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang. If it really is them, then it means that they have also activated the support spell, and also, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He turned around to look at the inner area and transmitted his voice. That bastard Hualong has indeed been spying on our whereabouts from the shadows. Then is he going to fight us head-on? Pei Tianhong frowned. More or less. However, from what I know, he shouldn't choose to fight us here because the chances of winning will be higher when we enter the inner area. After all, apart from Senior Brother Madman and White-Eyed Wolf, none of us can withstand the demon power in the inner area. Why is he so impatient? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. If it was him, he would also wait for the other to enter the inner area before attacking. Because as long as they entered the inner area, they would be invincible. The reason was simple. The Fire Dragon and his subordinates were not afraid of the demon power. Chapter 3374. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang lowered his head to look at Madman, who was covered by the demon power, and his heart moved slightly. Was it because of Madman? Madman was madly absorbing the demon power. Anyone would be suspicious. The Fire Dragon should have seen Madman absorb the demon power again, but he did not know what Madman was going to do. So he decided to go all out, and just in case, let his subordinates come and stop him. It seemed like Madman's actions had disrupted the Fire Dragon's original plan. Hong long long. The deafening rumbling came closer and closer. Finally, figures entered the vision of Qin Feiyang and the others. The one at the front was the 100 battle generals. The blood character mark on their foreheads gave off a white divine light. Behind them, there were several thousand people riding on their mounts. The golden blood character mark on their backs was dazzling, all of them giving off a murderous aura. Even further behind, fierce beasts of all sizes formed a terrifying beast tide. Everywhere they went, mountains crumbled, as though it was the end of the world. Prepare to fight. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. Looking at the 100 battle generals, his eyes flashed with a cold light. Are we not waiting for the Fire Dragon to show himself? The White-Eyed Wolf asked secretly. Right now, we are at the entrance of the inner area. The Fire Dragon might be hiding somewhere nearby and watching us. Also, if we are not heavily injured, with his cautious personality, he will not show himself, Qin Feiyang said mentally. That's true, the White-Eyed Wolf muttered. After fighting so many times, the Fire Dragon knew them like the back of his hand. So at this time, they had to be flawless. Then let's fight. Wang Changyuan stepped out of the barrier. Qin Feiyang looked at Pei Tianhong and said mentally, you go as well. You don't need to protect us, just set up a barrier for us and act for the Fire Dragon to see. No protection? Pei Tianhong was slightly surprised, but he did not ask. He nodded his head and waved his hand. Divine power surged out and a barrier appeared. It enveloped Qin Feiyang, the White-Eyed Wolf, and the barrier formed by the Blood Demon's power. Immediately after, Pei Tianhong took a step forward and landed beside Wang Changyuan. Boom! As the two of them exchanged a glance, their auras erupted with a loud bang. The laws of time and laws of thunder roared in all directions. Killing intent surged in Pei Tianhong's eyes. He activated the instant time and instantly appeared behind one of the generals. He slammed his palm forward, and the power of the time law slammed into the general. Puff! The general immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was torn apart. If it was an ordinary person, they would have died on the spot. But Just as the general was about to lose his life, the white blood character mark on his forehead suddenly shone with a dazzling light. His shattered body immediately began to heal. Seeing this scene, Pei Tianhong raised his eyebrows and decisively activated instant time, quickly retreating far away. This was because the other generals were already charging towards him. In the blink of an eye, the general's body was healed and he was full of energy again. "Young master, how are we going to fight?" Wang Changyuan frowned. Even Pei Tianhong could not kill these generals, let alone him. "Fight as much as you want. Anyway, you'll be lying down in the end." "Don't worry, I won't let you die here." Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. Hearing this, Wang Changyuan clenched his teeth and charged forward with rolling thunder. The battle had completely begun. Even though Pei Tianhong was a supreme overlord, he could only be beaten up by the 100 generals. This was because not only did they have the advantage in numbers, but they were also not easy to kill. This was a very troublesome problem. In less than 10 breaths, Wang Changyuan was seriously injured and his body was bleeding. Pei Tianhong relied on the instant time to hold on for a while, but he couldn't hold on for long. However, if Pei Tianhong wanted to leave, no one could stop him. But now, Qin Feiyong wanted them to fall and put on a show for the fire dragon. Of course, since they were putting on a show for the fire dragon, then it had to be real. On the other side, Madman acted like he did not sense anything, sitting cross-legged in the air and continuing to absorb the demon power. He was just a little bit away. He did not want to be distracted by this. But suddenly, a blood shadow silently shuttled through the black fog, heading straight for the madman. At the same time, there were also 2 blood shadows charging towards Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. It was the man and woman, as well as the old man in his 70s. The one charging towards Madman was the old man in his 70s. Suddenly, Madman raised his eyebrows. A fatal sense of danger appeared in his heart. He suddenly opened his eyes, got up without hesitation and retreated. As soon as he left, the old man in his 70s appeared in his place. Seeing Madman so sensitive to danger, the old man raised his eyebrows and then laughed sinisterly, his aura erupting without any concealment. "There's someone else?" Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were shocked, turning to look inside. But the black mist was too thick and they could not see Madman's situation. Not good. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong also faintly felt a trace of killing intent. Because of the kill character art, he was very sensitive to killing intent. No matter how well the other party hit it, he would still be able to sense it. Without thinking, he grabbed the white-eyed wolf and retreated like lightning. At the same time, 2 blood shadows charged out from the black mist. It was the man and woman. Seeing Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf retreat so quickly, the man and woman's eyes could not help but reveal a trace of surprise. "Who are you?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. "The people who want your lives." The blood-red woman smiled sinisterly. The power of law surged out, turning into a giant blood-red sword, emitting a sharp light that could tear the sky and earth apart, slashing towards Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. Law of slaughter. 5th profound. Qin Feiyong's pupils shrank. Looking at the white-eyed wolf, he shouted, "Run!" Although Pei Tianhong had set up a barrier before leaving, it was only a divine barrier, not a barrier condensed from the law of time, so it could not block this sword at all. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf waved its claws, sweeping up Qin Feiyong, and activated momentary time, instantly appearing on the other side of the void. It was also at this moment. There was a miserable scream. Hearing this scream, the man and the wolf's expression changed, because this was Madman's voice. "Old bastard!" Following closely, accompanied by an angry roar, Madman flew out from the inner area like a meteorite. Looking at his chest, there was a fist-sized bloody hole, blood gushing out. "Quick!" Qin Feiyong shouted. The white-eyed wolf activated momentary time and instantly landed behind Madman. Then, the man and the wolf attacked together, blocking Madman. Puff! Madman spat out another mouthful of blood, looking gloomily at the man and woman, then stared at the black fog in the inner area, and said in a deep voice, There's another old thing, very strong. Calling him an old thing. What a rude junior, damn it. Accompanied by a hoarse and sinister laugh, the old man in his 70s charged out of the black mist, and he carried along an expanse of the energy of lightning as he directly charged towards Qin Feiyang's group and the white-eyed wolf. On the other side, the man and woman also rushed over. Let's go. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and shouted at the white-eyed wolf in unison. The white-eyed wolf activated momentary time and frantically fled with the two of them. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were also burning with anxiety, wanting to rescue them. But the 100 battle generals kept pestering them, not giving them any chance. However, they didn't know that this was all an act. Young master, why don't you leave us and escape first? Wang Changyuan roared. I can't leave you guys and escape alone, Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. At the same time, on a nearby mountain peak, the fire dragon looked at Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong in the image and sneered. Yes, this is his personality. He will never leave his companions and live alone. Suddenly, its gaze landed on Pei Tianhong and immediately gave an order to the 100 battle generals. No matter what, you have to restrain this old man for this emperor. Hearing this, the 100 battle generals revealed a crazed look. More than half of the battle generals charged at Pei Tianhong with all their might. That's enough. There's no need to go all out. Seeing this, Wang Changyuan transmitted his voice to Pei Tianhong. Saying this, he crazily charged at the dozen battle generals in front of him. After a few rounds, he was heavily injured and fell to the ground. Seeing Wang Changyuan fall to the ground, Pei Tianhong's eyes flashed and he purposely revealed an opening to let the battle generals take the opportunity to heavily injure him, destroy their cultivation, and use them to threaten Qin Feiyang. The fire dragon gave another order. The dozen battle generals charged forward. Accompanied by two screams, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's Qi Si was destroyed. Qi Si destroyed? Isn't this too much? Pei Tianhong was very worried. Don't panic. Believe in young master. Plus, don't we still have the Dominator weapon? Wang Changyuan transmitted his voice. On the other side, even though the white-eyed wolf had the ultimate intent, the instant time, the male and female, as well as the old man in his 70s, all had supreme support divine techniques. Adding on the fact that their cultivation was 3 levels higher than the white-eyed wolf, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were surrounded by the 3 of them. Your companions are in our hands. Stop struggling, the muscular man said expressionlessly. His voice was like a bell that caused Qin Feiyang's eardrums to hurt. Qin Feiyang's expression was dark. The white-eyed wolf and the mad scientist's expressions were also very ugly as they said in a low voice, You are also the fire dragon's subordinates? How dare you? How can you blaspheme the name of the Lord? The old man in his 70s roared as lightning flashed and a purple gold eye appeared. Ultimate intent, Eye of Lightning. Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf's faces instantly turned pale. This person actually had a ultimate intent. Wait, these 3 people weren't with the 100 battle generals, so their status must be higher than the 100 battle generals. Could it be that the 3 of them all had a ultimate intent? Whoosh! Just as Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf were still in shock, 3 streaks of lightning shot out and entered their Qi Si. A fist-sized hole appeared in their lower abdomens. This was after the old man in his 70s controlled his strength. Otherwise, Qin Feiyang and the others would be instantly destroyed. Chapter 3375. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf on the ground, the woman in crimson clothes laughed in disdain. I thought you guys would be strong after seeing Master mobilize so many people, but it turns out that you guys are just so. Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the mad scientist looked at each other with ridicule in their eyes. Wasn't it a bit too early to be proud? The show had to be played slowly. Only then would it be exciting. Not only the woman in crimson clothes, but the burly man and the old man in his 70s also had disdainful expressions. The old man in his 70s looked at the 100 generals and shouted, Bring Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong over. Hearing this, one of the generals grabbed Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan and quickly rushed over to the 3 of them. He then threw the two of them beside Qin Fei Yang, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf. You guys recognize us? Pei Tianhong looked up at the three of them and frowned slightly. How can we not recognize the Hall Master of the Blood Hall and the Vice Commander of the Dark Guards? We once went to the Blood Hall to be a Dark Guard, but you guys didn't take a liking to us. But fortunately, you guys didn't take a liking to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have met the current master, and we wouldn't have been able to inherit the profound meaning. The old man in his 70s laughed with a hoarse voice that was filled with a bone-chilling coldness. Inherited the profound meaning? Qin Fei Yang, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. There really was an inheritance of the profound meaning in the Demon Land. Pei Tianhong's eyes narrowed as he looked at the three of them and said, "So you guys are from the Western continent?" "That's right. Unfortunately, you guys are so high up, so how could you possibly recognize us? But now, I believe that you guys will remember us for the rest of your lives." The woman in crimson clothes sneered. Wang Changyuan's eyes trembled slightly when he heard this and shouted, "Kill me if you want to. Don't kill the young master." Then, he turned to Qin Fei Yang and blamed himself. "Young master, I'm sorry. I'm useless and couldn't protect you well." Still acting? Pei Tianhong was speechless. When Wang Changyuan was by his side in the past, why didn't he realize that he had such talent in acting? "Young master." The crimson-clothed woman and her two companions sized up Qin Fei Yang, their eyes full of confusion. What did this person do to make the Blood Hall Palace Master and Wang Changyuan serve him as their master? To be honest, there really wasn't anything outstanding about him. Looking at the guilt-ridden Wang Changyuan, Qin Fei Yang was speechless. But since it had already started, he naturally had to continue acting. Sigh. Qin Fei Yang sighed deeply. Looking at Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong, he said, "It's not your fault, it's mine. I shouldn't have brought you into the Devil Land. It's already like this. Why are you still talking about this? I only hate. Why did you place the sovereign weapon in the Black Tortoise realm? If I had a sovereign divine weapon, I wouldn't have to suffer like this." Pei Tianhong clenched his fists, his face filled with rage. Ugh. Wang Changyuan was stunned. His acting wasn't bad. Why didn't he notice it before? Ha, how satisfying. At this moment, accompanied by unbridled laughter, a fiery red figure flew out from the inner region. It was the fire dragon. Fire dragon. Qin Fei Yang, Frenzy, and the white-eyed wolf immediately looked at the fire dragon with cold eyes. "Greetings, Lord." At the same time, the old man in his 70s, the crimson-robed woman, the burly man, and the other people and beasts all knelt in the void and bowed respectfully. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan also curiously sized up the fire dragon. And the fire dragon nodded at the old man in his 70s and smiled. "You all did well this time. Get up." Yes. The group of people responded respectfully and stood up one after another. "Young master, didn't you say that it came from the lower realm like you all? But now, you all are only at the Dominator realm, but it's already at the Great Perfection Dominator realm? This is too fast." Pei Tianhong was surprised. "Didn't I say before? There's an inheritance of the power of law here. Moreover, there was also an inheritance of the power of law in the Underworld Palace. Who knows how many inheritances it has?" Qin Fei Yang coldly snorted. "That's true." Pei Tianhong nodded. As long as one could obtain the inheritance of the Fifth Profound or the Supreme Profound, it would be very easy to step into the Great Perfection Dominator realm. Just like the white-eyed wolf, it only needed to plunder the power of law from others. But if one really wanted to talk about it, the white-eyed wolf's ability was even more terrifying than the inheritance. The fire dragon glanced at Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan before retracting his gaze. He looked at Qin Fei Yang and the white-eyed wolf and smiled. "You didn't expect that we would meet in such a place, right?" "Didn't expect? Play dumb. I don't believe that you don't know that I'm here specifically for you. But there's one thing I didn't expect. Not only have you nurtured so many lackeys, but your cultivation has also reached the Great Perfection Dominator realm. But if I'm not wrong, none of the power of law you've grasped should be comprehended by your own efforts." Qin Fei Yang sneered. "That's right. These power of law are all from my inheritance. But so what? I'm lucky. I'm stronger than all of you. Look at all of you. You've cultivated and worked so hard, but you're only at the lesser perfection dominator realm. What right do you have to be proud of? When I do something, I never look at the process. I only look at the results. The fire dragon looked at the two humans and the wolf with disdain. If it wasn't for the shadow cast in its heart after being defeated by Qin Feiyang, it would be able to defeat the two humans and the wolf with its own strength. Why are you so arrogant? If we hadn't waged an all-out war with the Blood Hall, causing the ancient castle and Blood Hall's sovereign divine weapon to be damaged, would you have the right to be arrogant now? The white-eyed wolf said angrily. Waged an all-out war with the Blood Hall? The three old men were shocked. There was actually such a thing? That's right. Although we've defeated the Blood Hall and destroyed the Dragon God Sword and Ice Dragon Sacred Sword, we've also suffered heavy losses. Otherwise, how could you shrimp soldiers and crab generals ride on our heads and behave so atrociously? The madman sneered. You mean, the Blood Hall has been wiped out by you? The three old men were surprised. Of course. Otherwise, why would Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan follow us? The madman smiled proudly and then looked at the fire dragon with ridicule. It seems like your subordinates aren't that smart. They can't even think of such a simple logic. You're courting death. The three's eyes flashed with killing intent. If we were in our peak condition, it wouldn't be us courting death. It would be you guys courting death. The madman snorted coldly and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. He said angrily, "This is all your fault. Before entering the Een Demon Land, I told you to rest and recover first before coming to find the fire dragon. But what about you? The moment you heard that the fire dragon was in the Een Demon Land, you were like a mad bull that couldn't be pulled back." AI. Qin Feiyang sighed and blamed himself. All right, what's the use of blaming him now? Plus, we're brothers. We should share blessings and misfortunes. So even if I die here today, I won't blame anyone. The white-eyed wolf stared at the madman and then looked at the fire dragon. We can be considered old friends. Before we die, can you fulfill a small wish of mine? Old friend. The fire dragon was stunned and then chuckled. Speaking of which, we can be considered old friends? Speak. What is it? I'll fulfill your wish. Where are the ice dragon and the small beast? The white-eyed wolf asked. This question. The fire dragon shook his head with a hint of respect in his eyes. This emperor doesn't dare to say anything about the ice dragon and the others. So you guys should take these questions to hell and slowly think about it. Damn! The ingrate immediately exploded and said angrily, "We've been acting for so long just to find out where they are. You're actually keeping us in suspense. You're making us very unhappy." The madman and Qin Feiyang were also unhappy. Originally, when the fire dragon appeared, they could have attacked. But in order to find out where the ice dragon was, they kept acting. But the fire dragon was too cowardly and didn't dare to say anything. Wasn't that infuriating? Acting for so long? Hearing the white-eyed wolf's words, the fire dragon and the old man were stunned. What did he mean? What I mean is, you're all idiots. The white-eyed wolf laughed and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Sorry, I was impulsive and forgot to pay attention to my manners. What you said is the truth. What are you afraid of? The madman bared his teeth. The fire dragon looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Not good. Let's go. Suddenly, its eyes trembled. With a roar, it turned around and rushed towards the inner area. Because it knew Qin Feiyang and the others better than the old man and the others. When it saw the strange smile on the madman and the white-eyed wolf's faces, it knew that something was wrong. Go? It wasn't easy to trick you out. It's better to stay. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. With a loud clang, his horsetail whisk appeared. The divine might of the sovereign divine weapon instantly surged towards the fire dragon like an avalanche. What? The old man and the others also changed color. They finally understood the meaning of the fire dragon. This was simply a trap. Whether it was those generals or those beasts, they all immediately turned around and fled for their lives. Kill them all for me. Qin Feiyang roared. He wouldn't be like the fire dragon who liked to act. As long as there was a chance, he would eliminate them at the first moment. Boom. When the horsetail whisk heard this, it immediately fully recovered. The rolling divine power covered the sky and the earth. The mountains collapsed, the earth sank, and the void was also annihilated. Ah, roar, everyone. All the beasts fell into despair. This was a sovereign divine weapon. Who could withstand it? Activating a heaven-defying divine weapon and secret art? It was useless and instantly shattered. Activating the profound laws and the supreme profound? It was also useless and instantly annihilated. Their last life-saving method, the blood mark, couldn't save them. The howls of the beasts and the screams of the humans were endless and resounded in all directions. This was a ruthless massacre. Like Azura hell, corpses were everywhere and blood dyed the sky. Chapter 3376. In just a few breaths of time, apart from the three people and the fire dragon, everyone else had died. The three people's marks were white and were 1 or 2 levels higher than the battle generals and beasts. Naturally, they could last a bit longer than them. But in this situation, even if they could last a bit longer, it would only be a matter of an instant. Don't kill us. The aura of death enveloped them. The three people roared in fear, using all kinds of laws as they desperately struggled. But it was meaningless. Qin Feiyang and the others all took a divine origin sea pill and coldly watched all of this. Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong were both ruthless masters. Qin Feiyang, the madman, the white-eyed wolf, although he was very good to the people around him, he would never show mercy to his enemies. So, of course, they couldn't feel pity. Ah! Accompanied by a series of screams, the three people were completely destroyed in despair. Not even a strand of hair was left. The fire dragon wasn't much better off. Its body had already been destroyed, and only a few strands of its soul remained. It was about to die. After all, its blood mark was different from the three people. Its blood mark was a fiery red and was 1 level higher than the white blood mark. Whether it was its recovery ability, defense, or attack, it was above the three people. So compared to the three, it could last longer. But it was still the same. Facing a sovereign weapon, no matter how powerful the blood mark was, it was useless. If nothing unexpected happened, the fire dragon would die without a doubt. And it would die immediately. But accidents often happened at critical moments. At this moment, a golden divine light came from the depths of the inner area and struck the horsetail whisk like lightning. Qin Feiyang and the others' expressions changed. Clang. Accompanied by a loud sound, the horsetail whisk was knocked back. The golden divine light also appeared. It was a 5-foot-long golden spear, as if it was made of gold, with a 5-clawed golden dragon engraved on it. A sovereign weapon. Pei Tianhong's expression changed. How is this possible? Our sky cloud boundary really does have another sovereign weapon, and it's in the Devil Land. This is definitely not an ownerless item. Wang Changyuan was also shocked. What secrets were hidden in the core area of the land of shadow devils? Clang. The golden spear's divine light was complete, and the 5-clawed golden dragon on the spear's body suddenly rushed out a dragon shadow. It let out a deafening dragon roar and rushed towards Qin Feiyang and the others. The horsetail whisk flickered and hurriedly blocked in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. Wisps of divine light emerged and turned into a snow-white crane. It was more than 1,000 feet long. With a loud and clear cry, it swooped down. Rumble. The two beasts collided with a loud bang, and this place immediately turned into chaos, as if it was the scene of the beginning of the world. But then, the golden spear didn't continue fighting. It took the remaining wisps of fire dragon's soul and disappeared into the depths of the inner region without looking back. We can't let them escape. Chase them. Qin Feiyang bellowed. The horsetail whisk shook the sky and also disappeared into the inner region like lightning. Qin Feiyang and the others' Sea of Qi had been destroyed, so they naturally didn't dare to step into the inner region. Because Frenzy's Sea of Qi had been destroyed, he couldn't use the power of the blood demon. Once they stepped into the inner region, they would be corroded by the power of the demons and would lose their lives in minutes. But if they stayed here, they could last until their sea of qi was repaired. After all, the Essence Sea Divine pills they had taken before were all made by Dan Wangkai and had 7 dragon-shaped pill essences. Young master, what is going on? Wang Changyuan retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. It was completely out of their expectations. This is my first time in the land of shadow devils. You and Old Pei have been here more than once. If even you don't know, how would I know? Qin Feiyang was helpless. He also wanted to understand, but his strength didn't allow it. It could be said that the appearance of the golden spear had completely messed up his sense of propriety. Where did the golden spear come from? What was in the inner region, the core area? What was the relationship between the fire dragon and the golden spear? All in all, because of the appearance of the golden spear, many questions popped up. But one thing was certain, the land of shadow devils wasn't as simple as it looked on the surface. The water here was very deep. Frenzy was also pondering. He turned to Pei Tianhong and asked, Old Pei, since ancient times, has no one entered the inner and core areas of the sky cloud field? I don't know about the core area, but someone must have entered the inner region. But as you can see, the power of the Een demons here isn't something we can withstand. Basically, no one comes back unless they are like me and only wander around the entrance. Pei Tianhong said in a deep voice. Frenzy heard this and laughed. Don't worry, I'll take you to the inner and core areas for a stroll. Hearing this, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other and couldn't help but look at the inner region and frown. Frankly speaking, before, they were very interested in the inner and core areas, but now that they saw the appearance of the golden spear, their hearts couldn't help but pound. If it wasn't for Qin Feiyang, Frenzy, and the white-eyed wolf, they would have turned around and left. This kind of place wasn't something they could set foot in. After a while, the whisk and the golden spear's aura had completely disappeared. They didn't know how far they had gone into the land of shadow devils. Fortunately, there were no beasts or other humans nearby. Otherwise, Qin Feiyang and the others might really be in danger. Because their Qi Sea was completely destroyed, they couldn't activate the profound laws. So even if a person or beast of the same realm came, it would be enough to kill them. However, after the collision of the 2 sovereign weapons, even if there were people or beasts nearby, they would absolutely not dare to take half a step into the lightning pool. The white-eyed wolf pondered for a while, looked at Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan and asked, The sky cloud field seems to have a total of 4 areas. What about the other 3 forbidden areas? The same. There are the outer, the edge, the middle, the inner, and the core areas, Wang Changyuan said. Then you haven't been to the inner and core areas of the 3 forbidden areas? The white-eyed wolf asked. And, although the other 3 forbidden areas don't have the power of the shadow devils, they are still extremely dangerous. As for the specific situation, I can't explain it clearly for the time being. You will know when you have the opportunity to enter. In short, the inner and core areas of the 4 forbidden areas are the real forbidden areas of the sky cloud field. Unless it's someone who doesn't know, no one dares to set foot there. Pei Tianhong explained. The 4 forbidden areas, the white-eyed wolf murmured. It was really full of mystery. He then said, So, when you cross the 4 forbidden areas, you will avoid the inner and core areas? This is common knowledge in the sky cloud field. Our several superforces usually directly activate the space-time law, or space-time teleportation divine tools, and those who haven't mastered the space-time law and don't have space-time teleportation divine tools, if they want to go to the other side of the continent, they will definitely take a detour. After all, that is the real forbidden area that can't be set foot in. Pei Tianhong nodded. A forbidden area that can't be set foot in, the white-eyed wolf murmured. He seemed to be a little excited. He turned his head and looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman. He smiled and said, It seems that we won't be too bored in the sky cloud field in the future. Qin Feiyang and the madman rolled their eyes. Others would take a detour, but this guy was actually interested in going to take a look. However, this was their personality. If it wasn't dangerous, they wouldn't be willing to go. Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong looked at each other and couldn't help but smile bitterly. They said so much just to cut off the curiosity of Qin Feiyang and the others. But the result was that it aroused their interest. It seemed that following these people in the future would be a lot of trouble. Time passed quietly. Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf's Qi were the first to recover. After all, their cultivation was lower than Pei Tianhong and the madman. Their recovery speed was also relatively faster. The madman and the white-eyed wolf immediately helped to absorb the Yin demon power in the three people's bodies. Then the madman used the power of the blood demon to set up a divine barrier to isolate the surrounding Yin demon power. The white-eyed wolf asked, "Why don't we go in now? If we go in, not only will we not be able to help, but we will also become a burden to the horsetail whisk. Moreover, the inner area is so big. If we get separated from it, the situation will undoubtedly be worse. So let's stay here," the madman said. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang. In the end, it was up to Qin Feiyang to decide whether to go in or not. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "Listen to senior brother, don't make a move first." "Okay." The white-eyed wolf nodded. However, before he finished speaking, several auras suddenly entered the perception of Qin Feiyang and the others. Qin Feiyang and the others were startled and quickly looked towards the inner area. It was because these auras had come from the inner region. What was going on? Could it be that there were still the claws of the fire dragon in the inner area? Chapter 3377. Pei Tianhong said in a deep voice, "Let's retreat first. If they are really the fire dragon's minions, they will definitely have a white blood mark. You won't be able to beat them with your strength." "Where can we retreat to now?" Qin Feiyang muttered. Although the white-eyed wolf had the instant time, those auras were all at the perfection ruler realm. Furthermore, they were about to come out. Most importantly, if they were really the fire dragon's minions, they would definitely have supreme support god techniques. At that time, even if the white-eyed wolf used the instant time, he wouldn't be able to escape from under their eyes. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he sent a message to the frenzied wolf. "Senior brother, remove the barrier." The frenzied wolf's mind moved and the barrier collapsed. The blood demon's power returned to his body. At the same time, Qin Feiyang activated the concealment technique. The four people and one wolf disappeared without a trace. The moment they disappeared, 7 figures rushed out from the black fog in the inner region. They were 3 pairs of middle-aged men and women, as well as an old woman. They were all wearing blood-red clothes and were filled with killing intent. The most eye-catching thing was the white blood mark on their forehead. As expected, they are the fire dragon's minions. There are 7 of them. Wang Changyuan's pupils contracted. "I don't think it's that simple. I think the strength of these 7 should be around the same as the old man and the other 2. Qin Feiyang sent a message. "Doesn't that mean they have supreme god techniques?" The white-eyed wolf was shocked. Qin Feiyang thought to himself, "I think so. Don't make any noise and let them think that we have left." The frenzied wolf, white-eyed wolf, Pei Tianhong, and Wang Changyuan all held their breaths. The 7 of them stood in the air and scanned below. "Didn't Lord say that they were here? Where are they now?" The old woman frowned. "They are probably hiding somewhere to recover their Qi ocean. In any case, it's impossible for them to enter the inner region. After all, that madman's Sea of Qi has already been destroyed, and he can't isolate the Yin Devil's power." "According to what you said, they are hiding in the central region?" "Yes, not too long ago. They shouldn't have gone far. Let's spread out and search for them. We must get rid of them before they repair their Qi seas. Otherwise, it's hard to guarantee that there won't be any other accidents." After a brief discussion, the 7 of them split up and headed towards the central region. Who? Qin Feiyang's group of 4, as well as the white-eyed wolf, couldn't help but inwardly sigh in relief. Fortunately, these people were relatively careless and did not release their divine sense. Otherwise, they would not have been able to avoid the concealment art. The old woman in blood-red clothes suddenly turned back when the 7 of them had disappeared from her sight. She stood in the void not far away and scanned the boundary between the inner area and the central area. What is she doing? Seeing this, Qin Feiyong and the others' hearts were in their throats again. At this time, the horsetail whisk was not here, and Pei Tianhong's and Wang Changyuan's qi seas had not been repaired. If they were discovered by the old woman in blood-red clothes, then Qin Feiyong, the madman and the white-eyed wolf's cultivation would only be waiting for death. Master seems to have said that Qin Feiyong has a divine art that can make him invisible. Could he be standing somewhere here and looking at me? The old woman in blood-red clothes murmured. After fighting with Qin Feiyong for so long, the fire dragon naturally knew Qin Feiyong's methods very well. Suddenly, a light flashed across the old woman's eyes as her divine sense surged out. Not good. Qin Feiyong's face suddenly changed as he shouted, "White-eyed wolf, go directly into the inner region." Swish! The white-eyed wolf waved its claws and rolled up Qin Feiyong and the other three. It activated the moment of time and instantly disappeared into the inner region. The aura of the power of law? Just as the white-eyed wolf activated the moment of time, the old woman in blood-red clothes immediately sensed it. She was slightly stunned, and then her divine sense turned into an invisible torrent that surged toward Qin Feiyong. In a flash, her divine sense enveloped them. The old woman in blood-red clothes immediately found Qin Feiyong and the others. She shouted, "They are here. Come here immediately." As soon as she finished speaking, she activated an incredible divine art and quickly rushed into the inner region, falling toward Qin Feiyong and the others. At the same time, hearing the old woman shout, the other 6 people immediately turned around and activated their incredible divine arts and rushed toward the inner region. The inner region. The black fog shrouded the area and severely affected the vision. However, although they could not see each other, they could sense each other's aura. The lunatic had also activated the power of the blood demon and formed another bounded domain to isolate the evil power around them. Because in the inner region, if they were not isolated, Qin Feiyong, Pei Tianhong, and Wang Changyuan would be killed in minutes. The white-eyed wolf led the other 4 people and kept activating the moment of time to escape. It was also because of the power of the blood demon and the law of time and space that the old woman in blood-red clothes could always locate Qin Feiyong and the others. Even her divine sense was firmly locked onto them. In addition, the distance between the 2 sides was not far. Therefore, it was almost impossible for Qin Feiyong and the others to use the black fog to get rid of the old woman. But then again, the power of the Yin demon was indeed terrifying. For people with cultivation like Qin Feiyong and the others, even if it was a dark night, no matter how thick the fog was, they would not be affected at all. But now, in the face of the black fog formed by the power of the Yin demon, their vision was completely blocked. They could only see 3 meters away at most. That was equivalent to being blind. "The 2 of you should hurry up." The white-eyed wolf looked at Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan anxiously. Because of the difference in cultivation, even if they activated the moment of time, they could not get rid of the old woman. No, it should not be said like that. To be precise, after the old woman activated the heaven-defying auxiliary divine art, her speed was even faster than the white-eyed wolf's moment of time. The distance between the 2 sides was getting closer and closer. Obviously, the old woman in blood-red clothes had mastered the supreme-level heaven-defying auxiliary divine art. Soon, Pei Tianhong said, as long as he and Wang Changyuan's Sea of Qi was repaired, even if they could not get rid of the old woman, the other party would not be able to catch up with them. No, they could completely get rid of her. Because Pei Tianhong controlled the moment of time. Once he repaired his Sea of Qi, in terms of speed, the old woman in blood-red clothes and the others would not even be qualified to eat his dust. Wang Changyuan looked behind him. He could even see the figure of the old woman through the black fog. He frowned slightly. Then, he looked back at Qin Feiyong and the others and said, "Actually, this is not the problem that I am worried about. What I am most worried about is whether there are still the claws and fangs of the fire dragon in this area." Hearing this, whether it was Pei Tianhong, Qin Feiyong, or the white-eyed wolf, their hearts sank. In the end, it was because of their carelessness. They thought that the 3 old men in their 70s, the 100 warlords, the thousands of people and ferocious beasts with the blood mark, and the ferocious beasts with the blood mark were all that the fire dragon had. But who would have thought that there were still others? If they had been more cautious and taken precautions in advance, they would not have ended up in such a sorry state. Your Dominator divine weapon went after the master. Now, no one can save you. So, don't waste time. Just surrender. The old woman in blood-red clothes laughed at the back. Actually, she was in disbelief. After receiving the fire dragon's order, they immediately rushed over at full speed. They wanted to quickly finish off Qin Feiyang and the others before they recovered their sea of qi. But who would have thought? Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf had all recovered their sea of qi. If the two people and the wolf had recovered, then Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong must have recovered as well. At the same time, she could not help but feel lucky. At first, she had wanted to come alone so that she could enjoy the credit alone. But now, it was fortunate that the other 6 people came together. Otherwise, if she was alone, not only would she not be able to kill these people, she might even be killed. No, that was not possible. If she really came alone, she would definitely die in the hands of Qin Feiyang and the others. After all, Qin Feiyang was resourceful, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were extremely powerful, and the madman and the white-eyed wolf also had heaven-defying abilities. They could help from the side. It could be said that any peak dominator would definitely die if they came to find them. Surrender? Old thing, don't be arrogant in front of us. We often encounter enemies stronger than you, and we are still alive. The white-eyed wolf snorted. But don't forget that this is the Een Devil Land. The old woman in blood-red clothes sneered. If it was outside, with Qin Feiyang's methods, he could indeed easily kill 7 people. However, there were too many restrictions in the Enma land. There were many methods that Qin Feiyang could not use. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. Boom. At this moment, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan released a powerful aura at the same time. Their sea of qi was finally recovered. Pei Tianhong immediately took over from the white-eyed wolf and activated instant time. At the same time, his divine sense rolled out and locked onto the old woman in blood-red clothes. In the next moment, he appeared behind the old woman with Qin Feiyang and the others. Qin Feiyang, Wang Changyuan, the white-eyed wolf, and the mad scientist were slightly stunned. Why did they run behind the old woman? But in the next moment, they understood. Pei Tianhong was going to counterattack. Decisive. Wang Changyuan activated the law of lightning's highest profound. Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the mad scientist all activated their strongest profound. Although they knew that their attack power could not cause any real damage to the old woman, it would still affect her more or less. Kill. Pei Tianhong roared. The law of time rolled out. Wang Changyuan's highest profound, the world-destroying lightning, also attacked. The old woman in blood-red clothes. She knew that Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's sea of qi had recovered, but she did not expect that Pei Tianhong would choose to attack her at this time. One had to know. Pei Tianhong brought Qin Feiyang and the others behind her. He had activated the moment of time, and his speed was several times faster than her when she activated the supreme level support technique. This was not something she could deal with. Not to mention, it was such a sudden counterattack. There was no suspense. Before she could react, the law of intent drowned the old woman in blood-red clothes. Arg! The old woman's body was torn apart, and blood splattered everywhere. But then, the blood character mark between the eyebrows of the old woman in the blood-red robe emitted a dazzling divine light. Her body, which had been torn apart, was pieced together and started to recover. Obviously, she was borrowing the power of the blood word mark. Without your partner's interference, you still want to recover your body. In your dreams, Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong's eyes were filled with murderous intent as they activated their profound once again. No. Seeing this, the old woman in blood-red clothes roared in horror. Boom. The next moment, with a cry of despair, the old woman's body, which had just been pieced together and had yet to heal, was torn apart again. Then, under the bombardment of the power of laws, it was smashed into pieces. But it was not over yet. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan seemed to be venting their anger. The law of time surged and destroyed the remains of the old woman's body. Not even a drop of blood was left. She was completely destroyed. Chapter 3378. It's not easy to finally kill one. Wang Changyuan sighed. Although they had fought a few times, they were all killed by the horsetail whisk. They had only killed a few beasts at the beginning. The key was that those beasts were only at the perfect Dominator realm and only had blood-colored marks. They didn't kill any perfect Dominator realm beasts or humans. So, this blood-robed old woman was the first. There are still 6 left. The hunt isn't over yet. Pei Tianhong's eyes were filled with killing intent. Previously, when they faced the old man in his 70s, there were too many of them. Now that there were only 7 of them, they would take revenge. Since that's the case, let's leave the inner region first. This way, our vision won't be obstructed and it'll be easier to fight. Wang Changyuan thought for a moment and said, "No. Right here." Pei Tianhong scanned the Yin Devil energy outside the barrier and transmitted his voice. "We should be able to hold on for about 50 breaths of time with the Yin Devil energy here. When the 6 of them get close, we'll disperse the barrier and hide our presence so that they won't be able to find us. This way, we can wait for an opportunity to kill them instantly." I agree with old Pei's suggestion. After all, the 6 of them have blood-colored marks, and they should have mastered the ultimate meaning. If we fight them head-on, we might not be able to kill them. Qin Feiyang nodded. "Okay, we'll wait here." Wang Changyuan nodded. He might refute Pei Tianhong's words, but he would definitely obey Qin Feiyang's words unconditionally. Not far away, the 3 pairs of middle-aged men and women also heard the blood-robed old woman scream and revealed a trace of surprise on their faces. It's impossible. Wasn't the other party's Sea of Qi destroyed? The sovereign divine weapon also chased after their lord. With Qin Feiyang's current strength, how could they kill that old witch? There must be a problem here. The 6 of them looked at each other and rushed towards the direction of the scream. They were all secretly vigilant. What is this aura? It's so special. It feels like the Yin demon force, but it doesn't seem like it. Suddenly, one of the middle-aged women had a trace of suspicion in her eyes. She sensed the aura of the blood demon. The blood demon's power was a combination of the Yin demon's power and the evil demon's power, so she couldn't tell for a while. When the other 5 heard this, their expressions were also filled with doubt. This aura is coming from where the old witch screamed. "Be careful," a middle-aged man secretly warned. "Then let's retract our auras," another middle-aged woman said. "Decisive." The 6 of them retracted their auras and quietly shuttled through the thick black fog like 6 ghosts. As the 6 of them retracted their auras, Qin Feiyang and the others frowned. This was because they had long sensed the auras of the 6 people. Wang Changyuan transmitted his voice. "Seems like they've already sensed the presence of the blood demon power." "It's all right." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. After about 5 or 6 breaths of time, he activated the concealment art again. The group of people didn't move at all and just stood where the old woman died. But because they had activated the concealment art, they couldn't see any traces of them. When the madman retracted the barrier created by the blood demon power, not only did they disappear, even their auras disappeared. Now, the concealment art can be activated twice. Wang Changyuan thought, "I just hope they don't release their divine sense. If they release their divine sense, the concealment art will lose its effect." Don't worry, they don't dare to release their divine sense right now because releasing it is the same as exposing their location. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. "That's true." Wang Changyuan nodded. At the same time, the 6 of them were slightly surprised as they sensed the disappearance of the blood demon power. They couldn't have retracted their auras and hidden somewhere to ambush us, right? A middle-aged man with a mole at the corner of his eye couldn't help but frown. Ambush. Not to mention that their Qi hasn't recovered yet. Even if they did, they wouldn't be a threat to us. Moreover, we aren't afraid of the Yin demon power in the inner area, but they are different. Other than the madman and that wolf king, Qin Feiyang and the other 2 won't be able to hold on for long. So, as long as they are a bit smarter, they wouldn't choose to fight us here. A red-haired woman sneered. "Then why do you think their auras disappeared?" The black mole man asked. Is there a need to think about it? They must have sensed us coming, so they ran away. The red-haired woman said in disdain. Actually, the red-haired woman's words made sense. According to their original plan, Qin Feiyang and the others were prepared to wait for Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan to recover their qi before leaving and not fight with the seven of them. But who would have thought that Pei Tianhong would have such a bad temper? To counterattack. Since they had this intention and had this opportunity, then Qin Feiyang and the others would naturally cooperate. In other words, the red-haired woman's deduction could only be applied to ordinary people. For those who didn't walk the normal path, if you made such a judgment, you would be seeking your own death. The six of them didn't think too much, but after all, they were people with such cultivation. So they didn't let down their guard and quickly approached the place where the blood-red old woman died. After a few breaths, the six of them finally appeared in the sight of Qin Feiyang and the others. The distance between the two sides was only 3 or 4 meters. Where's the body? The six of them scanned the ground, their eyes full of shock. Even if the blood-red old woman died here, there should be a body. But now, there was nothing. Could it be that the blood-red old woman was joking with them? But that couldn't be right. As the blood-red old woman's companions, they knew her character very well. She wasn't someone who would joke. Moreover, no one would be in the mood to joke in this situation. Could it be? The six of them suddenly looked at each other, and the same thought crawled up in their minds at the same time. Thinking of this, their scalps couldn't help but tingle. The blood-red old woman had the power to remove the blood mark, so she was almost immortal. It would be difficult to kill her, let alone destroy her. If that was the case, the Sea of Qi of Qin Feiyang and the others must have been repaired. But the speed of repair was too fast. They didn't know that Qin Feiyang had 7 primordial sea divine pills with dragon-shaped elixirs, so they calculated the time according to the normal rate of 1 or 2, or 3 or 4. No. Pei Tianhong is the master of the blood hall. He must have high-level primordial sea divine pills. All of a sudden, the middle-aged man with a black mole exclaimed. He finally realized how important it was that they had overlooked something. However, before the middle-aged man with a black mole could finish his words, Qin Feiyang and the others rushed out from behind the six of them. All kinds of profound skills were activated in an instant, smashing towards the six of them. The six of them quivered and were about to dodge, but their speed and reaction were still one step too late. All kinds of profound meanings and super skills smashed crazily, drowning the six of them in an instant. Screams followed. Such a sudden sneak attack, even if they had supreme-level armor, they couldn't activate it in time. Boom. Their bodies were torn apart on the spot. But it was the same as the blood-red old woman's situation. After their bodies were torn apart, the power of the blood mark immediately helped them repair their bodies. However, would Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan give them the chance? Obviously not. The profound meanings of the law surged out and crazily crushed the bodies of the 6 people. A few seconds later, along with a wail, the souls of the 6 were destroyed. Not even their bones were left. Even their heaven-defying weapons were destroyed. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan finally vented their anger. Chapter 3379. It's done. Qin Feiyang, Frenzy, and White-Eyed Wolf finally heaved a sigh of relief. White-Eyed Wolf looked at Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan, grinning. Old Pei, Old Wang, amazing. Wang Changyuan laughed. It's all thanks to young master. If not for young master's concealment art, we wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Pei Tianhong also nodded. This wasn't flattery, because it was true. The concealment art provided them with the best conditions, and the other party was too conceited, so it was natural for the sneak attack to succeed. If they didn't succeed, then it wouldn't make sense. Flatterer. White-Eyed Wolf rolled his eyes, turned to look at Qin Feiyang, and asked, What about now? Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the depths of the inner area, pondered for a moment, and said, Let's go to the entrance and wait. No matter what, he couldn't get separated from the horsetail whisk. Back to the entrance. Frenzy opened a barrier to protect Qin Feiyang and the others, and then stepped into the inner area again to continue absorbing the demon power. Nearby, it was also very quiet. There was not a single trace of a beast. Somewhere in the inner area, a golden divine light, a white divine light, one in front and one behind, crazily chased after each other. It was the horsetail whisk and the golden spear. Boom! The aura of the sovereign divine weapon. How terrifying was that? Wherever it went, the mountains collapsed, the earth cracked, and the void collapsed. It was like the scene of the end of the world. What? They actually died too? Suddenly, a furious roar sounded. It was the remaining soul of the fire dragon. Dead. The horsetail whisk muttered and then sneered. I thought that your claws were strong, but it turns out that they're only as... What are you so proud of? You didn't kill them? Fire dragon roared. Fortunately, you didn't meet me, otherwise, your claws would have killed a large number of them in an instant, without even having the chance to struggle. The horsetail whisk was extremely disdainful, but in its heart, it was rather surprised. It didn't expect Qin Feiyong and the others to be able to kill those 7 claws. During this period, it was quite worried. After all, Qin Feiyong and the others had their Sea of Qi destroyed. The fire dragon was furious, but he suddenly changed the topic. Why are you working for him? Isn't it good to follow us? With Lord Ice Dragon as your backer, who would dare to touch you? What a joke. It was because I followed it that I fell into Qin Feiyong's hands. It would have been better if he hadn't mentioned it. Now that he mentioned it, the horsetail whisk couldn't help but get angry. Why did the Blood Hall go against Qin Feiyong? Wasn't it because he obeyed the Ice Dragon's orders? And in the end, the Blood Hall was caught in a bitter battle. What was Ice Dragon doing? Although Little Rabbit ran over to intercept, with Ice Dragon's strength, if it was willing to attack, would Little Rabbit be able to stop it? Get to the bottom of it? Or did Ice Dragon not value the Blood Hall at all? In the eyes of the Ice Dragon, they were nothing but cannon fodder. Even if they were destroyed by Qin Feiyong, it would not lose anything. So ruthless, so cold. Who would be willing to follow it? Even if it had not been forced by Qin Feiyong to swear a blood oath and successfully escaped, it would not have gone to find Ice Dragon again. If it could not afford to provoke it, how could it hide? Because of Lord Ice Dragon, you fell into Qin Feiyong's hands? Hearing this, the fire dragon was somewhat baffled. Looking at this sovereign divine weapon, it seemed to have a prejudice against Lord Ice Dragon. The horsetail whisk did not waste any more words with it, and said to the golden spear, Is there any point in continuing to run like this? Whether there is any point or not, I don't know, but if you continue to chase like this, I guarantee that you will regret it. The golden spear said coldly, its tone revealing a bone-chilling coldness. Hearing this, the horsetail whisk was shocked. As a sovereign divine weapon, it had a better understanding of sovereign divine weapons. There was no need to scare the other party at their level. In other words, in this land of devils, there might be something that could even threaten it. In addition, Qin Feiyong and the others are not as safe as you think. You have to be sensible and quickly take them away from the devil land. The golden spear said again. Hearing this, the horsetail whisk was shocked and immediately hesitated. Should it chase or not? Entrance. Wang Changyuan looked around and said with a smile, Now, no one will come to find trouble with us. Not necessarily. It's never wrong to be careful, Qin Feiyong said. However, they did not know that on a mountain peak not far away, there was an old man and a young man. No one knew when they came, but they did not have any aura, like 2 ghosts. Even Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan did not notice them. The young man was a young man wearing a golden robe. His age was similar to Qin Feiyong and the mad scientist. His long hair looked like it was dyed with gold leaf, making him look like jade and extraordinary. That old man appeared to be over 70 years old. He was wearing a fiery red gown. His hair, beard, eyebrows, and pupils were all deep red like fire. From afar, he looked like a ball of fire. Your Highness, how do you feel? The old man in the red robe looked at Qin Feiyong, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf from afar and said with a smile, It's SOSO. The young man in the golden robe smiled faintly. The old man in the red robe was stunned and asked, Even that wolf king is SOSO? The young man in the golden robe looked at the white-eyed wolf and shook his head. It is indeed very strong. It has 3 supreme laws, but it has not grown yet, so it is not a big threat to us. But it will grow sooner or later. The old man in the red robe smiled meaningfully. Grow? Then you have to ask. If the dragons, agree. The young man in the golden robe had a faint smile on his face, but his tone was domineering that could not be ignored. A smile surfaced on the face of the fire-clothed old man when he heard this. Purple gold dragon blood, the young man in the golden robe murmured. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes. I want to see how powerful the purple gold dragon blood is. Whoosh! As his voice fell, the young man in the golden robe took a step forward, and a monstrous aura suddenly erupted. The old man in the red robe shook his head and smiled. He also took a step forward and followed unhurriedly. Just as the young man in the golden robe's aura erupted, Qin Feiyong and the others were shocked. They immediately looked up and saw the old man and the young man walking in the air and landing in front of them. Who are you? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan immediately became vigilant. However, the young man in the golden robe ignored them and glanced directly at Qin Feiyong. He did not even look at the white-eyed wolf, as if they were air. At the same time, Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were also looking at the two of them. But when they saw the glabella of the two, their pupils suddenly shrank. The white-eyed wolf secretly said, "Little Qin Zi, look at their glabella." "I see it," Qin Feiyong muttered. There was no blood mark between the eyebrows of the two. In other words, they should not be the claws of the fire dragon. But what surprised Qin Feiyong was that although the two of them did not have the blood mark, they did not seem to be affected by the power of the Yin demon. Moreover, in the depths of Qin Feiyong's heart, an inexplicable emotion suddenly emerged. This emotion was killing intent. That's right. For some reason, although it was the first time he saw the young man in the golden robe, he felt as if he had met an old enemy, and a killing intent emerged uncontrollably from his heart. This made him very puzzled. This had never happened before. How could this be? Who the hell are you? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan also noticed this. Furthermore, he also discovered that the all-pervasive Yin demon power was actually wandering around the two of them and did not actually enter their bodies. However, the young man in the golden robe still ignored them, as if there was only Qin Feiyong in his eyes. What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows and sent a sound transmission. Little Pei Zi, little Wang Zi, can you see through their cultivation? Yes. The old man is a great perfection dominator. The young man is a great perfection dominator. But Pei Tianhong sent a sound transmission. But at this point, his pupils shrank as he stared at the old man in the red robe, as if there was a trace of puzzlement and fear. Hurry up and say it. But what? The white-eyed wolf urged. Why did he only say half the sentence and deliberately leave them hanging? Chapter 3380. Although he is also a great perfection sovereign, he gives me a great sense of crisis. Pei Tianhong transmitted. I have the same feeling too. Moreover, the sense of danger he brings to me should be even stronger than the sense of danger old Pei feels. Wang Changyuan also transmitted. Because his strength wasn't as strong as Pei Tianhong, the sense of crisis was naturally stronger than Pei Tianhong. What? Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were shocked. Not to mention Wang Changyuan, even Pei Tianhong could feel a sense of crisis. Who was Pei Tianhong? He was once the overlord of the Western continent, the strongest existence in the sky cloud boundary. How strong was the person who could make him feel a sense of crisis? The white-eyed wolf secretly said, "You haven't seen them before?" No impression at all. Pei Tianhong transmitted. Could it be that they aren't from the sky cloud boundary? The white-eyed wolf was bewildered. I don't know. Pei Tianhong shook his head and then sighed. Perhaps it is as you said. The sky cloud boundary isn't as simple as it seems. Qin Feiyong and the other two were secretly communicating with the white-eyed wolf. The golden-clothed youth and the flame-clothed old man were also silent. The flame-clothed old man's eyes were calm. However, the golden-clothed youth's eyes gradually became sharp as he looked at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and cupped his hands. May I ask who the two of you are? Idlers. The flame-clothed old man smiled faintly. He looked harmless and seemed to have no ill intentions. However, Qin Feiyang felt a cold intent from the flame-clothed old man. He was a little confused. He clearly looked like a harmless person. Why would he give him such a chill? Let me experience how strong your purple gold dragon bloodline is. Boom. The golden-clothed youth suddenly spoke. As his voice fell, a law of thunder erupted. It turned into lightning and pounced towards Qin Feiyang. Both Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's expressions changed when they heard the golden-clothed young man's words. The other party actually knew about his bloodline power? How could this be possible? Ever since he had taken Qin Baishan's medicinal pills in the Sea of Heavenly Dragons, Qin Feiyang's bloodline power had not changed back. His divine dragon aura had been concealed, and the color of his blood was the same as an ordinary person's. Not to mention outsiders, even Qin Feiyang himself would not be able to tell that it was purple gold dragon blood if he did not know in advance. But, however, the golden-robed young man in front of him had directly identified the power of his bloodline. Why was that? At the same time, Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong also looked at the golden-clothed youth and Qin Feiyang in shock. Purple gold dragon blood? What was going on? The purple gold dragon blood, people of their status, naturally knew that it was the unique bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon. Why did the golden-clothed youth say that to Qin Feiyang? Could it be that Qin Feiyang's bloodline power was the purple gold dragon blood? That was not right. Whether it was as an enemy in the past or as an ally now, they had all seen Qin Feiyang's blood. It was the bloodline power of an ordinary person, and it was completely different from the purple gold dragon blood. Why aren't you protecting him? The white-eyed wolf shouted. Pei Tianhong and the other man quivered and came back to their senses. They immediately stood in front of Qin Feiyang and sent forth a palm strike. The surging lightning-like power was immediately shattered into pieces. Seeing their actions, the golden-clothed youth could not help but frown. The old man in red noticed the change in the golden-clothed youth's expression and immediately smiled. He took a step forward, looked at Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan, and said in a hoarse voice, "This is just an ordinary spar. Please step aside and watch quietly." Spar? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other. With the golden-clothed youth's aggressive aura, it did not seem like he was here to spar. Seeing that the two were indifferent, the old man in red was not angry. He laughed and said, "This old man has an old habit. I never repeat a sentence twice." As his voice fell, he took a step forward and instantly disappeared. This is Qin Feiyang, Wang Changyuan, and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. It was the supreme profundity of the time law, instant time. No wonder even Pei Tianhong felt threatened. It turned out that he had mastered the supreme profundity of the strongest law. In the next instant, the old man in red appeared in front of Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan. He raised his old hands and slapped them. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other and snorted. They raised their arms at the same time, and the time law and lightning law rolled out as they threw a punch. Hee. But the old man in red only laughed in a hoarse voice. The time law appeared in the palm of his left hand. The power law appeared in the palm of his right hand. Then, the old man in red's left hand met Pei Tianhong's fist. His right hand met Wang Changyuan's fist. Boom. The fist and palm met in an instant. The three of them took a step back at the same time. Although they were evenly matched, the expressions on the three people's faces were as different as heaven and earth. The old man in red was as calm as ever. However, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were shocked. "Old Wang, what's wrong with you?" Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at Wang Changyuan in surprise. Although the three of them did not activate their profundity of the law and were purely using the power of the law, Wang Changyuan's lightning law had already reached the level of supreme profundity. But at this moment, facing the old man's power law, it was actually evenly matched. Looking at Wang Changyuan again, if it was in the past, facing Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's questions, he would definitely answer immediately. But this time, he seemed to have not heard anything as he stared at the old man in red, his eyes filled with disbelief. The old man in red looked at Pei Tianhong and the white-eyed wolf and said with a faint smile, "Then now, can you quietly stay by the side and watch the battle?" The two of them looked at each other and decisively returned to Qin Feiyang's side. "What's going on?" The white-eyed wolf transmitted his voice. Pei Tianhong secretly said, "Not good. This person not only grasped the supreme profundity of the time law, but also grasped the supreme profundity of the power law." "What?" "The supreme profundity of the power law." Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf turned pale with fright. A person grasping two supreme profundities, other than the white-eyed wolf, they had never seen such a person in the sky cloud realm. No wonder Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan felt a sense of danger from this person. No wonder Wang Changyuan was unable to defeat him. It turned out that the other party's power law had also reached the supreme profundity level. "Young master, these two people's identities are definitely not simple. You must be careful." Pei Tianhong transmitted his voice. His tone was extremely solemn. Not to mention Qin Feiyang, even he, the former overlord of the Western continent, had never heard of anyone in the sky cloud realm who grasped two supreme profundities. He couldn't help but doubt, were these two people in front of him really from the sky cloud realm? "I will." Qin Feiyang let out a long breath. Whether it was the old man's strength or his understanding of the purple gold dragon blood, it had exceeded his expectations. If there was no accident, these two people must be related to Ice Dragon. Even if they weren't related, they must know each other. Because in the sky cloud realm, only Ice Dragon knew that he possessed the power of the purple gold dragon blood. Moreover, he had just fought with the fire dragon, and these two people appeared now. Was this a coincidence? In fact, what Qin Feiyang was most concerned about was that inexplicable emotion. The moment the young man in golden clothes attacked him, not only did the killing intent in his heart become stronger than before, it even gave birth to an inexplicable disgust. Wait, could it be because of the power of the bloodline? He had the purple gold dragon blood, and if the other party also had the power of the divine dragon blood, in other words, this young man in golden clothes might not be a human, but a divine dragon? But that wasn't right. When he faced dragons in the past, he had the pure divine dragon blood, but at that time, he didn't have this kind of emotion. Why was that? And at this moment, he didn't feel the aura of a divine dragon from the two people. Rumble. Kacha. Just as Qin Feiyang was pondering, the young man in golden clothes appeared again, and the law of thunder rolled out. Whether it was the void behind the young man in golden clothes or above his head, it all turned into a sea of thunder. Thunder and lightning roared in the sky like giant pythons, and the heavenly might rolled and shattered in all directions. Chapter 3381. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. Qin Feiyang murmured. He activated the law of war and his battle-intent sword. Because his cultivation level was lower than the golden-robed young man's, he needed the law of war to support himself. Although the law of war could not make up for the difference in cultivation level, his physical body and mind would be greatly improved, and he would not be easily crushed. Then, the fifth profundity of the law of thunder appeared. A strand of lightning power floated in the middle of the lightning pool. Although it looked inconspicuous, it exuded a great power, as if it was a god. "Thunder crash," the golden-robed young man muttered. He pointed his finger in the air, and the lightning power that surged toward Qin Feiyang also turned into a huge lightning pool. It was also the fifth profundity, thunder crash. Boom. The two profundities collided. A destructive aura suddenly rolled out in all directions with the two of them as the center. Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. The difference in cultivation level could not be made up for. However, with the law of war in his body, he did not suffer any serious injuries. He looked at the golden-robed young man, who was standing in front of him calmly, and there was a trace of disdain on his face. Boom. Clang. Looking at the golden-robed young man, Qin Feiyang did not know why, but the hatred in his heart grew stronger and stronger. It could even be described as uncontrollable, and he could not suppress it even if he wanted to. This made him very confused. It was the first time they had met, and there was no deep hatred between them. Why would he have such inexplicable emotions? It was also because of this emotion that he could not control the killing intent in his heart. The law of thunder and the law of slaughter's fifth profundities were activated. The heavenly power shook all directions, and a murderous aura shrouded the world. At this moment, he was like a combination of the god of slaughter and the god of thunder. Endless lightning power roared around his body, and the murderous aura surged. Boom. No matter what the reason was, since he had such an emotion in his heart, he had to deal with it with all his strength. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the two profundities charged toward the golden-robed young man with a destructive aura. But for this, the golden-robed young man still had a look of contempt. It seemed that he did not take Qin Feiyang seriously at all. It was more like fighting with Qin Feiyang was a waste of time. If that's all you have, then you're destined to fall here today. Even his tone was filled with disdain. Two great fifth profound skills were instantly revealed. The laws of thunder and the laws of metal. Rumble. The four profound meanings clashed once again. Qin Feiyang spat out another mouthful of blood. His feet kept retreating, and his face was somewhat pale. If it were anyone else, they would have already collapsed to the ground with heavy injuries. Because of the difference in cultivation level, it was enough to crush him. Fortunately, Qin Feiyang had mastered the law of war. Although the five profundities of the laws of war didn't have terrifying destructive power, the enhancement of the physical body and mind was something that other laws could never compare with. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that if both sides were equally matched in strength, then the person who possessed the laws of war would basically be in an invincible position. What a boring battle. Let's end it. The golden-robed young man shook his head. Boom. Clang. As the fifth profundities of the laws of thunder and the laws of metal appeared, another new profundity appeared. It was the laws of sword. The fifth profundity of the three great laws emitted a world-destroying divine might as it madly attacked Qin Feiyang. Boring. Qin Feiyang muttered. He was really being looked down upon. Swoosh. Suddenly, he raised his head and stared at the golden-clothed youth. Cold light surged in his eyes as he shouted, "Do you think it'll end just because you say so?" The law of karma roared out. A five-colored divine lotus instantly appeared, and a monstrous divine might rolled out in all directions. It's just a small cultivation level difference. What are you so proud of? If you're so capable, then suppress your cultivation level to the level of a low-level dominator. Let's fight to the death. Let's see if I can take your dog life or not. Qin Feiyang was seething with anger. He originally had a lingering disgust for this person in his heart, but this person was good. From the beginning to the end, this person had an overbearing and disdainful attitude. He really didn't understand. What was there to be proud of with such an attitude of bullying the weak? Although this person's talent might be better than Yi Tian's, his character was really too inferior. However, there was no other way. The world was so big. Not everyone could be like Yi Tian. There would always be some self-righteous and arrogant people. Rumble. Clang. Accompanied by a loud sound, the law of slaughter and the law of thunder's fifth profundity appeared together. Qin Feiyang's eyes were like torches, revealing a sharp light. As he waved his hand, the three great profundities immediately shattered the sky and attacked the golden-clothed youth's three great profundities. In just an instant, the six great profundities collided. It was like a comet colliding, and the world immediately fell into a rumbling sound. After activating the law of karma, it was obviously different. The law of karma was the strongest law. Although the golden-clothed youth's cultivation level was higher than Qin Feiyang's by a small cultivation level, and he couldn't be instantly killed like at the same cultivation level, he still had the ability to fight. In the end, the six great profundities shattered at the same time in the void, destroying everything. However, the fifth great profundity wasn't the great profundity. Although it was the great profundity, it could easily crush even if it was detected by someone of a higher cultivation level. However, although Qin Feiyang had shattered the golden-clothed youth's three great profundities, he also suffered a backlash and spat out a mouthful of old blood. Is the great profundity the only thing that can truly fight above one's cultivation level? The white-eyed wolf frowned. That's for sure. Although the 5 great profundities of the great profundity can crush profundities of the same cultivation level, it's still a bit difficult to fight above one's cultivation level. Pei Tianhong nodded. Then does that mean that little Qin Zi has no chance of winning? The white-eyed wolf asked. Maybe, but not necessarily. After all, there are too many possibilities with the young master. Let's just focus on watching the battle. There's no point in worrying, and we can't help. Pei Tianhong sighed. The old man in the red robe was too strong. Even if he and Wang Changyuan joined forces, they might end up in a situation where both sides would be injured. No one knew if the fire dragon's minions were still in the Yin demon land. It would be best if there weren't. But what if there were? Then, when they and the old man in the red robe were both injured, wouldn't the fire dragon's minions be like meat on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered? In short, before the horsetail whisk returned, everything was done with extreme caution. At the same time, opposite, the old man in the red robe and the young man in gold didn't seem surprised when they saw Qin Feiyang activate the law of karma. It was as if they already knew in advance. The law of karma, the law of slaughter, the law of thunder, and the law of war. Unfortunately, you haven't comprehended the 5th profundity of the law of war. It's even more unfortunate that I'm not a gentleman. I won't suppress my cultivation level like the others. So, whether the battle ends or not, it's up to me. The young man in gold looked at Qin Feiyang, the contempt in his eyes becoming more and more obvious. As he said the last sentence, a destructive aura suddenly emerged from his body. This destructive aura was completely different from an ordinary aura. It was as if a god of destruction had descended. The surrounding void and earth collapsed crazily, turning into chaos. Furthermore, gray flames were rising from the golden-robed young man's body. The destructive aura emitted by these flames was even more terrifying. This is the law of destruction. Pei Tianhong's eyes widened as he exclaimed, "The law of destruction." Frenzy and Qin Feiyang were shocked. He was actually also a monster who had grasped the strongest law of destruction, but the white-eyed wolf's eyes were glowing with green light. Drooling, he stared at the young man in gold and couldn't help but ask, "Young man, have you comprehended the supreme profundity of the law of destruction?" The young man in gold was slightly taken aback and looked at the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. What did he mean? However, when his eyes met the white-eyed wolf's, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. What was with this wolf cub's eyes? Why did it feel like he was looking at a delicious cake? Chapter 3382. Cake? More than that. In the eyes of the white-eyed wolf, he was just a piece of delicious fat meat. Because the current white-eyed wolf wasn't interested in anything except for the strongest law. If the golden-clothed youth dared to say that he had comprehended the ultimate law, he would definitely become the white-eyed wolf's target. To be honest, although the golden-clothed young man was able to suppress Qin Feiyang, when faced with an ingrate, even if his cultivation was a stage higher than Qin Feiyang's, he would still only be oppressed by the ingrate. The supreme profundities of the 3 supreme laws of nature? Was that a joke? I'm asking you a question. Have you comprehended the ultimate law? The white-eyed wolf urged. Why do you care? The golden-clothed youth raised his eyebrows and looked back at Qin Feiyang. He said with contempt, "I have heard of your deeds. During the exchange on Sky Cloud Island, you killed the genius disciple of Blood Hall. You even know about this?" Qin Feiyang frowned. It seemed that the 2 people in front of him must be from Sky Cloud Realm. Otherwise, how could they know about this? Although the situation at that time was very similar to our current situation, and the genius disciple of Blood Hall had a higher cultivation than you, there is one difference. He didn't master the strongest law, but I do. The golden-clothed youth smiled proudly. The power of destruction surged, accompanied by a roar, and a gray giant beast appeared out of nowhere. This giant beast looked very strange. It had a dragon head, phoenix tail, Qilin body, bull horns on its head, and hair like a lion. The most peculiar thing was that it had 9 pairs of gray wings on its back. It was hard to describe its appearance, but the power of destruction it exuded was extremely terrifying. Be careful. This is the fifth ultimate law of destruction, destruction beast. Pei Tianhong's eyes were heavy. Indeed, as the golden-clothed youth said, Qin Feiyang and Frenzy were able to suppress the young geniuses of Blood Hall on Sky Cloud Island because no one had mastered the strongest law. But it was different now. The other party had also mastered the strongest law. Furthermore, Qin Feiyang's cultivation was even lower than the golden-robed youth's. In this battle, Qin Feiyang's chances of winning were slim. It's over. The golden-robed young man raised his head and smiled. The fifth profundity of the Law of Gold, the Law of Sword, and the Law of Lightning were all activated. The four profound super skills were like four gods, emitting an aura that made people despair. Then, with a wave of the golden-clothed young man's hand, the four ultimates immediately charged toward Qin Feiyang, especially the destruction behemoth. It was like a peerless beast roaring in the sky, its ferocious might shaking the heavens. White-eyed wolf, Pei Tianhong, and Wang Changyuan's hearts jumped to their throats. How could he make up for the difference of a single realm? If they were at the same level, they believed that Qin Feiyang would definitely be able to defeat the golden-clothed youth with his battle experience and battle awareness. However, in the face of an opponent whose cultivation was higher than his, battle experience and battle awareness were of little use. This was because the other party could completely ignore all of this and directly crush him with his strength. Looking at Qin Feiyang again, he stared at the four profound super skills, his eyes flickering. Was there no pressure? No. Of course there was. If it was anyone else facing such a powerful golden-clothed youth, they would feel pressure. The key was whether or not one dared to face it bravely. This was something that Qin Feiyang definitely had. He had faced so many strong enemies before. Not to mention the young people of the same generation. Even if it was the older generation, he had never been afraid. Battle, especially in such a battle, he would never be afraid and would never panic. Boom. A monstrous murderous intent erupted. Heaven and earth instantly turned into a sea of murderous intent. A blood-colored barrier suddenly appeared around Qin Feiyang's body. That was right. This was the slaughter zone. Although there was no fresh blood to absorb now, the power of the slaughter zone had always been stronger than the kill word tactic. Moreover, because he had comprehended the fifth profound super skill of the Law of Slaughter, the kill word tactic had now evolved into a supreme level skill. As such, even without superposition, the power of the slaughter zone itself was much stronger than a supreme level skill of the Law of Slaughter. Is this the legendary slaughter zone? Seeing Qin Feiyang activate the slaughter zone, a strange light flashed across the eyes of the fiery old man and the golden-haired youth at the same time. They had long heard that the slaughter zone was extremely powerful, but they did not know to what extent. Clang! Qin Feiyang wields his blood-colored sword and directly slashes out furiously. Looking down on him? Fine. Let's see who will have the last laugh. With one slash, chaos was torn apart. The lightning formed by the fifth profound super skill of the Law of Thunder was shattered on the spot. This was the original power of the slaughter zone. The lethality of the slaughter zone was above that of a supreme level skill of the Law of Slaughter. The fifth profound super skill of the Law of Slaughter was simply unable to block the sharpness of the slaughter zone. Back then, the battle with Nie Ziang was completely because the kill word tactic had not been upgraded to a supreme level skill of the Law of Slaughter. That was why it was so difficult. Just like later on when Qin Feiyang comprehended the fifth profound super skill of the Law of Slaughter, the kill word tactic evolved to a supreme level skill of the Law of Karma. Even if he only activated the kill word tactic, he would still be able to crush Nie Ziang. Needless to say, the slaughter zone. In other words, with the original power of the slaughter zone, he could definitely fight those of a higher level. However, it was not as exaggerated as the supreme profound super skill of the Law of Slaughter. It could only fight those of a higher level. Clang! With another slash, the fifth profound super skill of the Law of Sword was also directly disintegrated. After two consecutive powerful counterattacks, the golden-haired youth's face turned pale. He seemed to have underestimated this person. Clang! With a loud sound, the third slash was unleashed. The fifth profound super skill of the Law of Gold was also shattered. However, although the slaughter zone was powerful enough, the golden-haired youth's cultivation was still higher than Qin Feiyang's. Qin Feiyang counterattacked 3 times in a row. With a crack, the blood-colored sword in his hand had already shattered and was on the verge of shattering. "It's not up to you to decide how to end the battle," Qin Feiyang roared. Without the support of fresh blood, the shattered blood-colored sword could not be repaired. However, he did not retreat at all. With the blood-colored sword in his hand, he slashed at the destructive beast formed by the 5th profound super skill of the Law of Destruction. The golden-haired youth raised his eyebrows. It was for no other reason than Qin Feiyang's confident attitude that made him very unhappy. Roar! The destructive beast roared like thunder, and it was deafening. Its body was 10,000 feet long, and it was like a huge mountain. When it opened its bloody mouth, it seemed to be able to swallow half the sky. Boom! 1 man and 1 beast. One with a shocking destructive power and the other with a monstrous murderous aura, collided fiercely, and there was a loud explosion. Crack! The blood-colored sword was shattered. Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood. The destructive beast raised its huge claws and slapped at the slaughter zone. The slaughter zone shattered on the spot, and Qin Feiyang was sent flying. His body was badly mutilated and fresh blood flowed out. "That's it." The golden-robed young man looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. He was not as powerful as the rumors said. At most, he was only 1 level higher. "That's it. Fuck you. You're too arrogant. If little Qin Zi could absorb fresh blood now, he would kill you in a second." The white-eyed wolf roared, unconvinced. "Absorb fresh blood," the golden-robed young man murmured. The white-eyed wolf rolled its eyes and looked at the golden-robed young man seriously. "Back to the topic. Have you comprehended the supreme profound super skill of the Law of Destruction? Are you tired of it?" The golden-robed young man raised his eyebrows. So what if he had comprehended it? So what if he had not? Could it be that he could snatch it away? What a lunatic. The white-eyed wolf's ability to plunder the power of the law had not been made public yet. Therefore, not many people knew about it. If the golden-robed young man knew about it, he would definitely not think so. He would even keep a distance from the white-eyed wolf at all times. What a joke. How could he afford to offend such a ruthless person? The white-eyed wolf sized up the golden-robed young man and shook its head. "Look at how flustered and exasperated you are. You probably haven't comprehended the supreme profound super skill. What a pity. Why do you always care about this? As Qin Feiyang's companion, shouldn't you be more concerned about his safety?" The golden-robed young man was extremely angry. What the hell was this? It was really inexplicable. Concerned about him? The white-eyed wolf grimaced and looked at Qin Feiyang, who had been blasted into the distance, and said jokingly, "You'd better be more concerned about yourself. Little Qin Zi's strength is not that simple." The golden-robed young man was stunned. The fiery-robed old man also looked a little surprised when he heard this. Did he still have some tricks up his sleeve? Chapter 3383. At the same time, Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong also turned to look at the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. "Young master hasn't used his full strength yet?" The white-eyed wolf looked at the two speechlessly, then said, "It's understandable that little Wang Zi doesn't know. But little Pei Zi, it's not normal that you don't know." "Huh." Pei Tianhong was stunned and looked at it suspiciously. "It seems that your memory is really bad. But it can't be helped. Who asked you to be so old?" The white-eyed wolf shook its head and bared its teeth. "Do you still remember the restrictions that the Blood Hall placed on little Qin Zi and little Lunatic during the exchange conference?" "Restrictions?" Pei Tianhong was stunned. Suddenly, a look of realization appeared on his face. "You mean 3,000? Sure?" The white-eyed wolf made a shushing gesture and said, "Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. Don't say it out loud." That's right. The two of them were talking about the 3,000 clones. This was Qin Feiyang's trump card. During the exchange conference, even if Qin Feiyang hadn't comprehended the 5th profound of the law of slaughter, he could have easily killed Nie Ziang if he hadn't been restricted by the Blood Hall. Yes, 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 keep a low profile. Pei Tianhong nodded and looked at the golden-robed young man with a trace of mockery in his eyes. Arrogant? Young man, continue. Otherwise, you won't have a chance later. What are you talking about? Wang Changyuan looked at the white-eyed wolf and Pei Tianhong suspiciously. Children shouldn't interrupt when adults are talking. The white-eyed wolf glared at him. Wang Changyuan was stunned. He's still a child? Brother, can you not be so funny? In terms of age, he's old enough to be your ancestor. On the other side, the old man in red and the golden-robed young man looked at the white-eyed wolf and Pei Tianhong suspiciously. The white-eyed wolf looked at the two of them and sneered. I thought you knew us like the back of your hand, but now, you don't even know little Qinzi's tricks. It seems that you're just bluffing. The golden-robed youth raised his eyebrows. That was right. They really didn't know much about Qin Feiyang and the others. It wasn't because he couldn't find out, but because he wasn't interested. Because in their opinion, it was a waste of time to inquire about the situation of Qin Feiyang and the others. In short, he had never put Qin Feiyang and the others in his eyes. Boom. At this moment, a terrifying aura erupted. The white-eyed wolf turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang swallowed a divine life pill and walked over step by step. Immediately, the white-eyed wolf lifted the corner of his mouth and retracted his gaze. He looked at the golden-robed young man and said jokingly, "The show is about to begin. Prepare for despair." In fact, it was also very conflicted. Should he snatch this person's law of destruction? Even though he hadn't comprehended the supreme profundity, as long as he could fuse with the destruction law, he would be able to step into the sovereign realm. However, he was a little unwilling to fuse with it. Even though he could step into the sovereign realm, he still had to comprehend the supreme profundity on his own. With the white-eyed wolf's character, he would definitely run away faster than anyone if he was asked to drink and make trouble. However, it was a little too difficult for him to comprehend the supreme profundity. It wasn't that he didn't have the ability or talent. In fact, his talent wasn't bad. When he was cultivating seriously, even Qin Feiyang felt great pressure. It was purely because the white-eyed wolf didn't want to comprehend it at all. It was too troublesome and tiring. Anyway, his philosophy of life now was that if he could pick up something ready-made, why should he work hard? However, it would be a pity if he didn't snatch it. After all, it was an ultimate law. An ultimate law was something that could only be encountered and not sought. Therefore, this conflicted feeling made him a little irritated. Prepare for despair. At the same time, hearing the white-eyed wolf's words, the golden-robed young man muttered and looked up at Qin Feiyang with a trace of doubt in his eyes. Did he really have this ability? However, since the white-eyed wolf was so confident, he couldn't be careless. Otherwise, if he were to fail miserably, he would become a joke to his clansmen. Rumble, Qin Feiyang stepped on the air, step by step. His clothes fluttered in the wind, and his long black hair danced behind him. His aura became more and more terrifying, especially the power of law around him. Thunder law, slaughter law, karma law. The power of the three laws turned into gusts of wind that roared around him. From afar, he looked like a war god returning. Just his aura alone made people want to look up to him. Your Highness, be careful. The old man in the fire robe sized up Qin Feiyang at this moment, and his pupils couldn't help but shrink. He transmitted his voice to the golden-robed young man. What's wrong? Even you feel the pressure? The golden-robed young man frowned. He's just a small stage dominator. How can he give me any pressure? But your Highness is different. Your cultivation is only one small stage higher than his. The old man in the fire robe thought. What do you mean by one small stage higher than him? Do you think the difference of one small stage is small? The golden-robed young man seemed a little angry. No, no, no. That's not what I meant. If it were someone else, the difference of one small stage is like the difference between heaven and earth. With your Highness's strength, you can easily crush them. But the person in front of us is Qin Feiyang. Although we don't know him well enough to be able to make such achievements in the Sky Cloud realm, he shouldn't have an undeserved reputation. The old man in the fire robe thought, enough, enough. Don't belittle yourself by praising others. He's just a trash from the lower realm. What's so great about him? If it weren't for the Dominator weapon, anyone in the sky cloud realm would be able to kill him 1,000 times over. The golden-robed young man snorted. Hearing this, the old man in the fire robe couldn't help but smile bitterly. Such words weren't appropriate, but he didn't say anything more. Although His Highness's talent was good, he had never come out to gain experience. His temperament wasn't mature yet. If he could really suffer in the hands of Qin Feiyang, it would be a good thing. As for his safety, the old man in the fire robe didn't think about it, because he was confident that as long as he was here, no one could hurt His Highness. Bluff. The golden-robed young man looked at Qin Feiyang. A cold light burst out of his eyes. The fifth profound behemoth appeared in an instant. Its ferocious aura surged as it roared at Qin Feiyang. I see that your character is very impetuous. You probably don't come out much. Now I'll teach you a truth. There's always someone better than you. Never underestimate others, even if their cultivation is not as good as yours. Qin Feiyang said, Do I need you to teach me? The golden-robed young man flew into a rage out of humiliation. The law of thunder, the law of gold, and the law of sword were also activated. With the power to destroy the world, they charged at Qin Feiyang. This is for your own good. A person like you is too pampered. If you don't experience the cruel beating of society, you won't understand the way to survive in this world. As Qin Feiyang spoke, one figure after another appeared behind him. Each of them looked exactly like Qin Feiyang. It wasn't just their looks. Their cultivation and aura were also exactly the same. There was no difference at all. 3,000 clones. Clones? The golden-robed young man was taken aback. In the past, whenever Qin Feiyang activated 3,000 clones, people would think that they were just clones. At first, they didn't care. But when they clashed, they realized that things weren't so simple. No, they don't seem to be clones. The old man in the fire robe noticed and hurriedly messaged, Your Highness, don't be careless. Oomph. The golden-robed young man snorted, apparently very dissatisfied with the old man's kind reminder. Clones? If you think so, then you're not far from death. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. To be honest, he was also looking forward to the power of the 3,000 clones. Because ever since he stepped into the ruler realm, he hadn't activated 3,000 clones. This was the first time. Get ready to watch a good show. The white-eyed wolf yelled. If it was given a small gong, it would really look like a street juggler. Pei Tianhong smiled. Wang Changyuan was a little suspicious. Although Qin Feiyang had activated 3,000 clones when he fought against Yi Tian in the eastern continent, he wasn't very clear about the specific situation. Besides, at that time, Qin Feiyang was only in the imperishable realm. Chapter 3384. An imperishable realm cultivator wouldn't be a threat to a sovereign realm expert even if he activated 3,000 clones. But it was different now. Qin Feiyang's cultivation had already reached the initial stage of the sovereign realm. He had already comprehended the fifth profundity of the karma law, slaughter law, and lightning law, not to mention the younger generation of the sky cloud boundary. Even among the older generation, Qin Feiyang's current strength could be considered average. Watch a good show. When the golden-clothed youth heard the white-eyed wolf's words, the hostility between his brows became thicker. That's right. You have to open your eyes and watch a good show. Watch how I trample on the people you trust and make them beg for mercy like a dog. In the blink of an eye. Boom. The fifth profundity of the destruction law, lightning law, metal law, and sword law had already arrived in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's eyes shone with a cold light. The same was true for the 3,000 clones. Their eyes were overflowing with killing intent. Kill. Suddenly, the 3,000 clones had a tacit understanding and shouted at the same time. The karma law, lightning law, and slaughter law were all activated. What? The fire-robed elder's expression changed. The golden-clothed youth was also dumbfounded. The clones could activate the profundities of the laws? That's not right. How could there be such a thing? 3,000 clones, each with 3/5 profundities. 3,000 was a total of 9,000. This formation was shocking. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The other party must have used some trick to create an illusion. That's right. That's it. The golden-clothed youth comforted himself. But soon, he was dumbfounded again. Rumble. Following a series of earth-shattering explosions, the 9,000 profundities turned into a huge wave and surged toward the other side. Although the golden-clothed youth's cultivation was higher than Qin Feiyang's, although he also grasped the strongest law, although he was capable of crushing a lesser-level ruler, one must know that there was a prerequisite to crushing a lesser-level ruler. The other party's numbers didn't exceed his limit. But now, 3,000 clones, 9,000 profundities. It was equivalent to 3,000 Qin Feiyang. This number far exceeded the golden-robed young man's limit. Moreover, this was not a doppelganger like the golden-robed young man had imagined. It was an incarnation. Whether it was strength or means, it was exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's original body. 9,000 profound meanings gathered together like a ferocious beast. Wherever it went, nothing could stand in its way. Crack. With a boom, the laws of thunder, laws of sword, laws of metal, and even the laws of destruction shattered on the spot. It was like an ant facing an elephant, unable to retaliate at all. Puff. The golden-robed young man spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was shaken to the point of retreating. His face was filled with disbelief. How could they be so powerful? Could it be that they really weren't clones? If it wasn't a clone, then what was it? Your so-called strength is nothing more than your family background. However, my strength comes from myself, Qin Feiyang said indifferently. 9,000 profound meanings rushed towards the golden-clothed young man like a torrent. The golden-robed young man steadied his body and clenched his fists. Qin Feiyang's words were rather obvious. He was implying that the golden-robed young man was relying on his family background to be arrogant and despotic. In other words, he was indirectly saying that the golden-robed young man was a good-for-nothing. Of course, the golden-robed young man would not be convinced. Have you ever seen a good-for-nothing young man reach the sovereign realm at such a young age? Although this was definitely related to the nurturing of his family, such an achievement was proof of his talent and ability. Calling him a good-for-nothing young man? That would be an insult to his character. However, although the golden-robed young man was furious, his heart was filled with despair. 9,000 profound meanings. How could he block it? Unless he was a sovereign at the perfection sovereign realm or a sovereign at the perfection sovereign realm who had grasped a supreme profound meaning. Are you panicking? As expected, you still have to experience the vicious beating of society to understand the cruelty of the world and your own weight. The white-eyed wolf looked mockingly at the golden-robed young man. If you were a sovereign at the perfection sovereign realm or had comprehended a supreme profound meaning, you indeed had the right to be arrogant. You could look down on anyone and no one would say anything. After all, you did have the strength. However, you are just a sovereign at the perfection sovereign realm and do not have a supreme profound meaning. You want to defy the heavens with just the law of destruction? Who gave you the courage? Do you think you are the only genius in this world? Humans can do things in a high-profile manner, but humans must keep a low profile. Rumble. As the torrent of 9,000 profound meanings approached, the fear in the golden-robed young man's heart intensified. Clang. Suddenly, he waved his hand, and a 3-foot-long sharp sword appeared. This was a supreme divine artifact, and its sharpness tore through the sky. Submit to me, and I will bestow upon you an opportunity. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up as he looked at the sharp sword and shouted, "What opportunity can you bestow upon me?" The artifact spirit was disdainful. The land of origin. Qin Feiyang enunciated each word clearly. What? The land of origin? Could the rumors be true and this person has an independent minor realm? The artifact spirit trembled, and his heart was filled with desire. Seeing that the situation was bad, the fire-robed old man looked at the 3-foot-long sharp sword and shouted, "You have to understand who is behind us. If you dare to betray His Highness, you are going against our entire race." His Highness? Race? Qin Feiyang and the others felt a chill in their hearts. The meaning of these two sentences was worth pondering over. Generally speaking, only a race would be called a race. Similarly, only a person with a supreme status in a race would be called His Highness. In other words, behind these two people, there was a race unknown to the world. Wait, could the golden spear that came out to save the fire dragon be in cahoots with these two? Hearing the fire-robed old man's words, the artifact spirit trembled again, and an indescribable fear emerged in his heart. In an instant, he completely recovered and charged towards Qin Feiyang. Stubborn, killing intent flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes, and with a wave of his hand, a dagger appeared. This was the supreme divine artifact that he had snatched from the 10th Elder's son. At that time, he did not send it to the Black Tortoise world and had always carried it with him. After all, going deep into the Een Demon Land, with a supreme divine artifact by his side, relatively speaking, his safety would be guaranteed. Clang! The dagger instantly recovered and charged towards the 3-foot-long sharp sword. At the same time, he sent a sound transmission to the sword's artifact spirit. What are you afraid of? Although you are a supreme divine artifact, following these people, you are just cannon fodder. You don't know how strong the race behind them is. The sword's artifact spirit said in a deep voice. Although it said so, there was a trace of struggle in its tone. So what if they are strong? Who didn't evolve from a weak person to a strong person? Believe in yourself. Although you follow Qin Feiyang and may be hated by that race, at least you have the hope of evolving into a sovereign divine weapon, the dagger secretly said. Chapter 3385. It had already submitted to Qin Feiyang. It couldn't resist the temptation of the land of origin. The two supreme-level divine artifacts clashed, and their radiance swept out in all directions. However, after hearing Dagger's words, the sword hesitated. At the same time, 9,000 ultimates had already reached the golden-robed young man. The golden-robed young man panicked, and a set of armor appeared on his body. It was another supreme-level divine artifact. 2 supreme-level divine artifacts. It was enough to show that this person's status in the tribe was not low. However, even with the protection of the supreme-level divine artifact, he still felt the threat of death. Now is the time to make a contribution. Hurry up and decide. Dagger shouted. Okay. The 3-foot-long sword roared and immediately wiped off the blood contract with the golden-robed young man. Then, like Dagger, it attacked the golden-robed young man. Puff. The blood contract was forcefully wiped off. The golden-robed young man spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. This scene caused Qin Feiyang's group and the fiery-clothed old man to be extremely stunned. Why did it suddenly betray them? There were no signs at all. Little guy, you're a little despicable. The old man in the red robe came back to his senses and looked at Qin Feiyang. He thought that Qin Feiyang had secretly instigated the artifact spirit to betray the golden-robed young man. Crazy. Qin Feiyang didn't bother to respond. He was also very confused. However, he soon realized that Dagger must have secretly instigated it. Not bad. This helped him to get a supreme-level divine artifact. This guy could be sent to the land of origin for cultivation, because Qin Feiyang didn't really tame this dagger. It was completely willing to follow him. Its purpose was nothing more than to go to the land of origin. He had to admit that the supreme-level divine artifact was indeed powerful. Whether it was in terms of speed or strength, it was extremely terrifying. The 2 divine artifacts rushed to the golden-robed young man before 9,000 ultimates and slashed at him with full force. With a loud clang, the armor shattered on the spot. Boom. Then, 9,000 profound meanings also came crashing down. Without the protection of the armor, the golden-clothed young man was immediately covered in blood and roared in horror. Sigh. I didn't expect to lose to Qin Feiyang just like that. Qin Feiyang, purple gold dragon blood. You really live up to your reputation. The old man in fire-robe sighed. He immediately took a step forward and landed in front of the golden-robed young man. With a wave of his old arm, the law of time rolled out and instantly obliterated the 9,000 profound meanings. This was the strength of a perfect sovereign. Furthermore, the fire-robed old man was even more terrifying than other perfect sovereigns. This was because he had mastered two supreme profundities, one of which was the supreme profundity of the law of time. What a pity! How good would it be if he had another ultimate law? The white-eyed wolf stared at the old man and shook his head. The white-eyed wolf had already grasped the law of time, so there was no point in depriving him of it. Retreat. Meanwhile, seeing the old man in fire robes charging over, the dagger exclaimed and immediately rushed to the front of Qin Feiyong with the sharp sword. Qin Feiyong, how was it? The dagger immediately began to ask for rewards. Not bad. Qin Feiyong nodded. He. The dagger spirit smiled proudly and shouted at the broken armor. Why don't you come too? The old man in fire robes was right next to it. How would the armor dare to express its stance? Because the old man in fire robes could easily destroy it with his strength, so it pretended not to hear and silently repaired its damaged body. Qin Feiyong also wanted the armor to betray him. After all, the supreme profundity was already the strongest divine weapon below the sovereign divine weapon, and it was also the most likely to evolve into a sovereign divine weapon. If there was an armor that could evolve into a sovereign divine weapon, it would be like adding wings to a tiger for him. Because now, he already had the ancient castle and the horsetail whisk, these two offensive sovereign divine weapons. If he had an armor, it would be an all-around enhancement. At that time, besides the ice dragon and the small beast, who could kill him? However, he was more thoughtful than the dagger spirit. At this time, it was obviously not the right time to speak. Whoosh! Qin Feiyong's gaze turned and fell on the golden-robed young man. He said lightly, "This is your strength? How disappointing. I thought you were very powerful. Before looking down on others, can't you weigh your own weight first?" The golden-robed young man was like a man of blood. When he heard Qin Feiyong's words, his hands immediately clenched together. Some people were like this. Only the officials were allowed to set fires, but the common people were not allowed to light lamps. When he looked down on you, he felt that it was natural. But if you looked down on him, he would feel very uncomfortable and would feel that his self-esteem had been damaged. You want self-esteem? Fine. First, you have to correct your attitude and respect others first. This way, you can exchange for other people's respect. The world has always been like this. Other than your family, no one would pamper you and spoil you. Do you want to continue? Qin Feiyong asked indifferently. The golden-robed young man took out a divine life pill and put it in his mouth. He stared at Qin Feiyong in silence. This, Qin Feiyong, Pei Tianhong, the white-eyed wolf, and Wang Changyuan looked at the divine life pill with shock in their eyes. That was actually a divine life pill with 9 dragon-shaped core qi. Little Pei, did your blood hall have a pill of this level in the past? The white-eyed wolf asked through voice transmission. No, not only the Blood Hall, the Demon Hall, Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Sky Hall, and Deity Hall don't have a pill of this level. The best we have is the 7 dragon-shaped core qi. Pei Tianhong thought to himself, it can't be. Where are the clans behind these two hiding? The white-eyed wolf muttered in disbelief. Could it be in the core area? Suddenly, Wang Changyuan asked through voice transmission. The core area, Qin Feiyong, Pei Tianhong, and the white-eyed wolf heard this and couldn't help but look in the direction of the core area with surprise in their eyes. The inner area was basically confirmed to be filled with the power of the Yin demon. And what exactly was the core area and what exactly existed there? No one in the Sky Cloud realm knew. Could it be that, as Wang Changyuan guessed, the core area wasn't a dangerous place, but a land of its own? The existence of the border area, the central area, and the inner area of the Yin Demon Land was to protect this place? If this was the case, the golden spear that took the fire dragon into the depths must be related to this clan? Suddenly, Qin Feiyong looked at Dagger and asked, "How long have you been following the 10th Elder's son?" "Not long." "Why?" Dagger was puzzled. "What about you before? Have you been to the core area?" Qin Feiyong asked secretly. "No." Dagger answered. "Then have you seen the sovereign divine weapon that appeared not long ago?" Qin Feiyong asked again. "Not yet." In short, I don't know as much about the fire dragon as you do, so it's useless for you to ask me about it, and I haven't seen the fire dragon interacting with others. It has always been alone in the Demon Land, Dagger said secretly. Chapter 3386. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded helplessly. It seemed that he could only wait until he entered the core area to solve the mystery in his heart. Wait a minute. Wasn't the timing of this old man and young man's appearance too coincidental? As soon as the battle with the fire dragon ended, they came out to kill him. Logically speaking, the two of them should know the fire dragon. Little Qin Zi, kill him. I want to snatch his law of destruction. The white-eyed wolf's voice suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang turned and looked at it suspiciously. Although it doesn't have a supreme profound, it's still a supreme law. It'll be a pity if I miss it. The white-eyed wolf transmitted his voice. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang asked. I'm sure. The white-eyed wolf nodded and said to himself, at most, I'll go out less in the future and focus on comprehending the supreme profound. You? Qin Feiyang was seriously doubtful. You don't believe me? Back then, when I cultivated from the god of war to the imperishable stage, did I go out with you? It's only because there's no need to comprehend the laws that I'm so relaxed now. The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. All right. Qin Feiyang secretly responded and looked up at the golden-robed young man. Anyway, he had an uncontrollable hatred and killing intent for this person in his heart, so he might as well get rid of him. At the same time, on the opposite side, the old man looked at the golden-robed young man and transmitted his voice. Your Highness, let's stop here. Just like that? The golden-robed young man raised his eyebrows. What else? Qin Feiyang's strength is in front of you. You can't beat him at all. If you continue, you'll only be humiliated more. The old man sighed. The golden-robed young man roared. So even you think that I'm inferior to him? The old man was helpless. How could he answer this? Tell the truth? He was afraid that the golden-robed young man would be hurt. Lie? He didn't want to go against his conscience. The golden-robed youth stared at the old man and snorted. You don't have to answer. I can see everything from your expression. The old man smiled bitterly and comforted. Your Highness, you're very outstanding. Even among the younger generation of the entire clan, you're ranked in the top 10. So, you don't have to feel discouraged because of a single failure. Is this a failure? If we were at the same level, or a level higher than me, I would feel a bit better. However, his cultivation is a level lower than mine, yet I actually lost to him. What is it? Don't tell me you want me to break through to the perfect sovereign realm to wash away your humiliation. Now that I'm a greater mastery sovereign, I'll become a laughingstock if news of me fighting him spreads. They'll say that I'm bullying the weak, let alone a perfect dominator. I can't afford to lose this face. The golden-robed young man roared hysterically. It seemed that the defeat this time was indeed a big blow to him, but thinking about it, it made sense. From the beginning, he had an insufferably arrogant attitude as if victory was within his grasp, but in the end, he was mercilessly crushed by his opponent. In such a situation, if he was a calm person, it would be fine. Although he would feel depressed, he wouldn't collapse. But for someone as impetuous as the golden-robed youth, once he encountered such a situation, his mentality would definitely explode. Let's go. The future is long. Besides, even if we don't act, there will be others who will deal with him. For example, those brothers and sisters of yours. As for today's battle, I believe that with Qin Feiyang and the others' personalities, they won't spread the news. So, not many people will know about it. The old man in fiery clothes smiled meaningfully. The golden-robed youth's eyes flickered. He nodded and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's go back. The old man smiled cheerfully. Fortunately, he wasn't hopeless. Otherwise, he would be abandoned by the clan sooner or later. Although the clan they belonged to was very strong, and any one of them was enough to rule the Sky Cloud realm, the survival of the clan was extremely cruel. Competition, benefits, schemes, in short. If you're not careful, you may be eliminated. The result of being eliminated was to fend for yourself. Even for a noble highness, it was the same. The old man looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a hoarse smile, "Young man, this old man admires your strength and means, but the Sky Cloud realm is very dangerous, especially the 4 forbidden areas. There are some things it's not convenient for this old man to say. In short, you're on your own." After saying that, he waved his hand and swept up the golden-robed youth. He activated the moment of time and rushed toward the inner area. "Thank you for your advice." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and said, "But you come and go as you wish. Is it that easy?" As his voice fell, Pei Tianhong waved his hand and the law of time rolled out like a huge wave roaring in the sky. It turned into a huge boundary and trapped the two. "What do you mean? You still want to kill us?" The old man turned to look at Qin Feiyang and raised his eyebrows. "Isn't that obvious?" Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and looked at Pei Tianhong. He transmitted his voice, "Old Pei, if you can kill him, I will help you open all the doors of potential." Pei Tianhong was taken aback and hurriedly asked, "Really?" And Qin Feiyang nodded. "Good." Pei Tianhong nodded and activated the moment of time. He instantly rushed into the boundary and punched the old man. Needless to say, Wang Changyuan, as long as there was a chance, he would work hard to perform. So the moment Pei Tianhong attacked, he immediately attacked. "It's just a spar. You actually want to take our lives. You're really ruthless." The old man's eyes flashed with a cold light. With a wave of his hand, the golden-robed youth disappeared. "What?" Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf frowned. Wasn't it said that the Demon Land couldn't open the Space Divine object? Why was there no restriction on these two? If you want to fight, then bring it on. The old man in fire robes took a step forward. The time formation and the law of strength surged out and charged towards the two of them without dodging. Boom! The 3 super experts immediately started fighting. The terrifying divine might was earth-shattering, destroying everything. It was not something that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf could interfere. Not only was he unable to interfere, he had to continuously retreat to avoid being affected by the battle. "You guys go and help as well." Qin Feiyang looked at the dagger and the sword. With the help of 2 Paragon-level heaven-defying artifacts, his chances of winning were naturally higher. But until now, he had yet to see the true strength of the old man in fire robes. So he didn't know if Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan could kill each other. Hearing that, the dagger and the sword immediately recovered and crazily attacked. As for the barrier that Pei Tianhong had set up, it had already shattered in the first moment of the battle. As for the madman, he had been staying in the inner area, absorbing the demon power and was not affected by the battle outside. Moreover, as the last bit of divine power in his body evolved, he felt that the indescribable change was becoming more and more obvious. Chapter 3387. With the addition of 2 supreme-grade heaven-defying artifacts, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan felt much more relaxed. However, the pressure on the fire-robed elder increased. A supreme-grade heaven-defying artifact was comparable to a Paragon Dominator. After fully awakening, it was even more powerful. In other words, now, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the 2 supreme-grade heaven-defying artifacts were equivalent to 4 Paragon Dominators. In an instant, the fire-robed elder was forced to retreat. However, he had to admit that he was indeed very powerful. The supreme grade of the law of time and the supreme grade of the law of force. If it was someone else, no one would be able to stop him from escaping when faced with the supreme grade of the law of time. Because instant time was too fast. Although instant time didn't have any destructive power, its extreme speed left countless people in the dust. Unfortunately, Pei Tianhong also grasped instant time. If he wanted to use instant time to escape, Pei Tianhong could definitely keep up with his speed. As for the supreme grade of the law of force, Wang Changyuan's supreme grade of the law of lightning could also compete with him. In addition, with the assistance of the 2 supreme grade heaven-defying artifacts, if there were no accidents, he had no chance of winning. "You guys have really angered me." The fire-robed elder was getting angrier and angrier. It was originally just a spar, and the outcome would be decided. However, he didn't expect to kill them now. Until now, he was still blaming Qin Feiyang and the rest, and didn't reflect on himself at all. He didn't think about whether his so-called spar was really a spar. Spars were usually peaceful and didn't go too far. However, their spars were constantly humiliating each other and trampling on each other's dignity. Disregarding everything else, just the attitude of the golden-robed youth towards Qin Feiyang showed no sincerity. To be honest, with the attitude of the fire-robed elder and the golden-robed youth, even someone with a good temper would be angered. They couldn't blame others, they could only blame themselves for being failures. In any case, if you want to spar, you have to take out the attitude of a spar. If you act high and mighty, who cares about you? Do you really think others don't dare to kill you? No one in the outside world would spoil you. So what if I'm angered? Pei Tianhong sneered. If he was alone, he wouldn't be able to defeat the old man. However, with the help of Wang Changyuan and the two divine artifacts, as long as they went all out, killing this person would not be difficult. Boom. Not only did he activate the law of time, but he also activated the other 5 laws. Perfect sovereigns all grasped 6 types of laws. Although Pei Tianhong had been using the law of time all this time, he also had profound attainments in the other 5 laws. When he used the 5th profundity of the 5 great laws, his divine might rolled out in all directions. When Wang Changyuan activated the law of lightning, he activated the other 5 laws as well. Although it didn't have an ultimate law, it was still shocking enough. This was especially true for his law of fire. After comprehending the supreme profundity of the law of lightning, he had been comprehending the supreme profundity of the law of fire. But, in the past, he hadn't opened the door of potential yet, so he couldn't understand it. However, last time, when he had opened all the doors of potential, his understanding of the ultimate profound had improved tremendously. Now, he had taken the final step and was only missing an opportunity. It was because he had tasted the sweetness of the door of potential that he put in so much effort. 2 ultimate profound, 10 fifth profundities, and 2 supreme-level divine artifacts. Such a lineup could be said to be quite powerful in the Sky Cloud realm. Even the old man in the fire robe felt a great threat from it. Clang! Without hesitation, the old man waved his hand and a fiery red blade appeared. It was as if molten lava was poured out. Waves of fire swept out in all directions, turning the place into a big furnace. At the same time, a set of armor appeared on his body. It was also fiery red with torrential flames. At this time, the old man was like a fire god that had descended. His entire body exuded a great pressure. They are both supreme-level divine artifacts? The white-eyed wolf frowned. Don't panic. Pei Tianhong and the rest also have supreme-level divine artifacts. So, with just those 2 supreme-level divine artifacts, this old man can't reverse the situation. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. That's true. The white-eyed wolf nodded. His eyes were full of expectation. As long as he defeated the old man, pulled the young man out of the spatial divine artifact, and snatched his destroyer law, he would be able to step into the greater mastery sovereign realm. At that time, if he encountered an ordinary perfect mastery sovereign realm, he could crush them with the 3 ultimate profound. Sure enough, as Qin Feiyang expected, when the old man revealed the 2 supreme-level divine artifacts, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan also immediately took out their own supreme-level divine artifacts. Wang Changyuan's supreme-level divine artifacts, Qin Feiyang had seen them before. They were the Ghost King Battle Axe and the Golden Battle Armor. When they fell into Qin Feiyang's hands, Wang Changyuan followed him and Qin Feiyang returned them to him. Pei Tianhong's 2 supreme-level divine artifacts, Qin Feiyang had also seen them during the battle at the Blood Hall. When these 4 supreme-level divine artifacts appeared, including the dagger and the blade, there were a total of 6 supreme-level divine artifacts. Not only was the situation not reversed, but it was even worse for the old man. Rumble, clang, in the blink of an eye, ultimate divine abilities and supreme-level divine artifacts clashed. An aura that could destroy the world erupted like a volcano. surging in all directions. Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, retreated again and again. However, their eyes were locked on the old man in the fire robe. The old man in the fire robe trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood, his face instantly turning pale. At the same time, the power Upanishad and the fiery red saber were broken too. Seeing Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's Upanishad divine skills, the dagger, and the other godly divine items coming at him, his old face turned extremely dark. Not only did he underestimate Qin Feiyang's strength, but he also underestimated the guts of Qin Feiyang's group. In his opinion, even if he and the golden-robed youth came with evil intentions, Qin Feiyang and the others wouldn't dare to fight him in a place like the Devil Land. After all, no matter who it was, they would become timid in the Devil Land. However, he didn't expect that this group of people didn't care about that at all and attacked. Swoosh! The old man in the fire robe scanned his surroundings and decisively activated instant time, rushing towards the inner area again. Old Pei, Old Wang, we can't let him enter the inner area successfully, Qin Feiyang shouted, because the old man in the fire robe wasn't afraid of the devil power. However, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan couldn't resist the corrosion of the devil power. Even if Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan chased in, they wouldn't be able to last long and would have to retreat. Therefore, once the old man in the fire robe escaped into the inner area, it would be countless times more difficult to kill him. Hearing this, Pei Tianhong's eyes flashed coldly. Qin Feiyang had already promised him that as long as he got rid of this person, he would help him unlock all his potential. How could he miss such a good opportunity? Swoosh! The moment Qin Feiyang finished speaking, Pei Tianhong grabbed the 3-foot-long sharp blade and activated instant time, chasing after him. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, the law of time rolled out and drowned the sky. At the boundary between the inner area and the central area, a huge barrier condensed, directly blocking the way into the inner area. Shatter! Seeing this, the old man in the fire robe ignored Pei Tianhong. The law of time and the law of force appeared and punched the barrier. With a loud bang, the barrier shattered on the spot. But because of this, he paused for a moment. It was at this moment that Pei Tianhong used instant time to step in front of the old man in the fire robe. The 3-foot-long sharp sword in his hand was at full speed, slashing furiously. The sharpness swept through the world. Clang! As sparks flew, a crack appeared on the fiery red armor on the old man in the fire robe. Blood spurted out from the crack. It was enough to see. Not only did this sword break the armor, it also injured the old man in the fire robe. Moreover, the old man in the fire robe was also sent flying by this sword. Behind, Wang Changyuan, the dagger, and the 2 heaven-defying treasures were charging over aggressively. Seeing that the old man in the fire robe was sent flying, Wang Changyuan immediately roared, "Eye of Thunder!" The law of thunder's highest profound meaning was instantly activated. Streaks of destructive lightning appeared, and the treasures charged toward the old man in the fire robe. In front, Pei Tianhong sent the old man in the fire robe flying. Without hesitation, he immediately activated his profound meaning ability and charged toward the old man with the 3-foot-long sword. Facing a pincer attack, the old man in the fire robe immediately showed a trace of panic. Go to hell! Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong roared at the same time. The profound meaning ability and the various heaven-defying treasures immediately drowned the old man in the fire robe with a destructive aura. Ah! The old man in the fire robe screamed as well. It seems that even if you have mastered 2 profound meanings, you are not invincible. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. Invincible? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He shook his head and said, looking at the current situation, the only thing that is truly invincible is the Dominator Divine Weapon. Chapter 3388. The reason why he was invincible was because he had yet to face Ice Dragon and Small Beast head-on. From the previous battles, Ice Dragon and Small Beast's strength should have surpassed Dominator weapons. Of course, their specific strength would only be known after facing them head-on. There was no point in guessing now. At the same time, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan revealed a victorious smile as they looked at the void that was flooded by profound skills and heavenly treasures. Especially Pei Tianhong. He wanted to go to the Black Tortoise world and open the door of potential. Unfortunately, the Een Demon Land had restrictions, and he could not enter the Black Tortoise world. He could only leave the Een Demon Land first. However, just as everyone thought that the fire-robed old man was dead for sure, a blazing flame suddenly surged out. It was like a volcano erupting and lit up half the sky. What? Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Pei Tianhong, and Wang Changyuan all looked at the void where the fire-robed old man was. What's going on? Someone exclaimed. The heavenly treasures all flew out and surrounded the area, emitting a wave of shock. But there was something worth mentioning. The emotions of the 3-foot sword seemed to be different, as if it had a trace of fear. Boom. Voila. The flame became more intense, with the fire-robed old man as the center. This place quickly turned into a sea of fire, terrifying heat enveloping all directions. Boom. At the next moment, a monstrous aura exploded. This was the aura of the fire-robed old man. What? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's eyes widened in disbelief. Facing such an attack, he was actually not dead? But then, whether it was Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, or Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan, their expressions all changed. Because in this aura, they actually felt a dragon's aura. That's right. It was dragon's aura. An extremely pure dragon's aura. Dragon's aura? Dragon's god? The 3 people and 1 wolf were extremely shocked. What was going on? Why was there dragon's aura? They stared intently at the sea of fire, wanting to see what was happening inside. But the flame was too strong and covered everything. It was impossible to see clearly. However, in the next instant, a deafening dragon roar rang out from the sea of flames. Dragon roar. There's a divine dragon. Could it be that the fiery clothed old man has a divine dragon as his mount? Qin Feiyang frowned. Judging from this aura, it seemed to be even stronger than the old man in the fiery robe. You guys really don't know what death is. Suddenly, another hoarse voice resounded from within the sea of flames. It was deafening like thunder, and it contained shocking rage and killing intent. He really isn't dead, the white-eyed wolf murmured. This was the voice of the old man in fiery robes. Before he could finish his sentence, another dragon roar sounded. Then, a huge creature rushed out of the sea of fire. The expressions of Qin Feiyang and the others froze. It was a divine dragon. Its body was over 30,000 meters long, and its entire body was covered with dragon scales that looked like they were cast from lava. There was also a dragon horn on its head, and the 5 dragon claws below its abdomen were as huge as mountains, glowing with a gloomy light. Fire dragon? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. It's the fire dragon, and not only it. My previous master was also a divine dragon. Suddenly, the 3-foot-long sword flew in front of Pei Tianhong and said in a deep voice. The dagger and other sacred items also retreated to the side of Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan. What? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were shocked. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf also frowned. Their original bodies were all divine dragons? In other words, there was no divine dragon at all. This was the original body of the fiery clothed old man? But why can't we sense the aura of a divine dragon on them? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Of course, it's because they deliberately concealed the aura of a divine dragon. As long as they completely conceal the aura of a divine dragon, no one can sense it. The spirit of the 3-foot-long sword said, Then what about the dragons you mentioned? Qin Feiyang frowned. Dragons? The spirit was about to speak. But at this moment, the fiery clothed old man turned into a fire dragon, activated instant time, and instantly appeared in front of the 3-foot-long sword. Don't even think about it. Pei Tianhong roared. The power of law surged as he threw a punch. The fire dragon was obviously going to deal with the 3-foot-long sword. Because the 3-foot-long sword betrayed the golden-robed youth, it would definitely not let it go easily. Scram! The fire dragon roared and slapped Pei Tianhong with its claws. Puff! Pei Tianhong spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. The armor on his body also shattered. This power, so terrifying. He was shocked. After returning to his original body, the fiery clothed old man's strength had increased by an unknown amount. Even if you're a divine dragon, you still have to coil around us. Seeing this, Wang Changyuan also roared and the Law of Thunder rolled out. However, without waiting for Wang Changyuan to activate his ultimacy, the fire dragon's huge claw landed. Wang Changyuan also spat out a mouthful of blood, and his entire body was like a meteorite, smashing into the ground below. Cracks also appeared on the golden armor on his body. With a loud bang, he smashed into the ground. As the dust billowed, a huge pit appeared. So strong, the white-eyed wolf murmured. Qin Feiyang nodded his head. Whether it was a divine dragon or other beasts, their strength would be greatly reduced when they transformed into their human form. Because in their human form, they couldn't exert their full strength. At most, they could only exert about 70% of their peak strength. In other words, after returning to their original body, they could exert 100% of their strength. Moreover, the body and strength of beasts were naturally stronger than humans. Therefore, after revealing his original body, the fire dragon's strength could no longer be compared to before. Don't be afraid. There are so many of us. Can't we beat him alone? Moreover, even if we want to escape, we can't. We can only fight it out with him. Seeing that the 3-foot-long sword was obviously afraid, the dagger spirit roared and rushed towards the fire dragon crazily. The 3-foot-long sword, the Ghost King battle axe, and Pei Tianhong's supreme-level divine weapon also charged forward. Humph! A bunch of ants. The fire dragon sneered, his eyes full of contempt. All the ultimacies appeared and blasted towards the 4 divine weapons. Gotcha! The 4 divine weapons' weapon spirits cried out in pain and were blasted away on the spot. Their original bodies were damaged. Too strong. After returning to his original body, his strength is on a completely different level from before. Not only the 4 divine weapons, but Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's eyes were full of solemnity. You dare to betray us dragons, you're courting death. The fire dragon's murderous aura was monstrous. He activated Moment of Time and clawed at the 3-foot-long sword. No, the 3-foot-long sword roared in horror. Escape? It definitely couldn't escape because the other party had the supreme ultimacy of the Law of Time. Chapter 3389. But now, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were unable to come to the rescue. Dagger, Ghost King battle axe, Pei Tianhong's heaven-defying divine weapons. Although they were just beside the 3-feet-sharp sword, they did not dare to go up. Because now, after the old man in the red robe returned to his original form, he was too strong, and they were already afraid. Just as the 3-feet-sharp sword was in despair, swoosh! Suddenly, 2 figures appeared in front of him. It was the white-eyed wolf, who had brought Qin Feiyang over. What? Seeing a man and a wolf running over to confront the fire dragon, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the other divine weapons were all shocked. Did you guys not understand the situation? Not to mention now that it has returned to its original form, even if it was still in its human form, it is not something that the 2 of you can fight head-on. This is simply courting death. The weapon spirit of the 3-feet-sharp sword was also stunned. It had never thought that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf would risk their lives to rescue it. Before it died, it had regretted betraying Qin Feiyang, but now it had made the right choice. Even if it died here, it was worth it, because in this world, it was hard to meet such a loyal master. Old Pei, Old Wang, quickly come and help, Qin Feiyang shouted. He knew in his heart that with his and the white-eyed wolf's strength, there was no way they could stop the fire dragon. They just wanted to buy as much time as possible. The reason why Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were seriously injured was not because they were really no match for the fire dragon, but because they were too shocked to react when they suddenly found out that the old man in the red robe was a divine dragon. In short, the two of them were completely caught off guard by the fire dragon's attack. As long as they were given some time to calm down and adapt, with their strength, they still had the power to fight. Hearing Qin Feiyang shout, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other, took out a divine life pill, threw it into their mouths, and immediately rushed to help. At the same time, the fire dragon had already attacked Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang and white-eyed wolf did not hold back either. The white-eyed wolf activated the supreme profundities of the law of death and the law of space. Qin Feiyang activated the 3,000 clones, the kill character art, and the esoteric body. The slaughter domain had already been opened once and could not be opened again. However, the current kill formula was also very powerful. After all, it was already a supreme-level heaven-defying divine art. One man and one wolf used all their strength to attack the fire dragon. A mere ant wants to compete with the sun and moon. The fire dragon gave a disdainful smile as the laws of force surged forth, and he shattered the white-eyed wolf's two ultimate profundities with a single swipe of his claw. He was practically unstoppable. Puff. The white-eyed wolf's body trembled. His throat heated up, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Rumble. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang and his 3,000 clones kill character art and esoteric divine art were also crushed by the fire dragon. The 3,000 clones were equivalent to 3,000 blood-colored swords, 9,000 fifth profundities, and Qin Feiyang's original body. With such an overwhelming advantage in numbers, they could not even block the fire dragon's claw. What's the point of fighting? Retreat. The white-eyed wolf waved his claw and swept up Qin Feiyang and the other heaven-defying divine items. He activated the moment of time and escaped with lightning speed. You want to leave? The fire dragon sneered. He suddenly raised his huge tail and shattered the sky. All the blood-colored swords and esoteric figures were instantly crushed into pieces. Immediately after, he also activated the moment of time. One had to know that his cultivation was 3 small realms higher than the white-eyed wolf's. How could the white-eyed wolf's moment of time be compared to him? In half a blink of an eye, he caught up with Qin Feiyang and the others. The huge tail mercilessly slapped. Bastard, how could it be a divine dragon? That terrifying dragon aura made the heaven-defying divine items roar in fear. Seeing that Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the other heaven-defying divine items were about to be buried under the huge tail, Pei Tianhong angrily rushed over. All the great laws and esoteric divine arts turned into a torrent and blasted towards the huge tail. Pei Tianhong had the moment of time, so his speed was naturally faster than Wang Changyuan. And this time, Pei Tianhong was also prepared to fight to the death, because he had already accepted this fact. In the past, he was the Hall Master of the Blood Hall, the ruler of the Western continent. Even in the entire sky cloud boundary, he was an existence that stood at the top. So, even if he was now following Qin Feiyang, even if he had seen all kinds of incredible things in the Yin Demon Land, he still felt that he was that supreme existence. No matter what happened, he had the confidence to deal with it. But just before, the claw that the fire dragon gave him was like a bolt of lightning that made him suddenly realize, on the surface, he was indeed an existence that stood at the top of the pyramid in the sky cloud boundary. But in reality, facing those mysterious races that were hidden in the dark and unknown to the world, his little bit of strength was simply not enough. This also made him especially eager to open the door of potential. Because opening the door of potential, his talent and potential would be greatly improved. In this way, he could quickly comprehend the supreme profound of other laws and increase his own strength. Only in this way could he survive under the feet of these mysterious races. In fact, it was just one sentence. Right now, he wanted to become stronger. And the shortcut in front of him was the door of potential. So at this moment, he was no longer deliberately showing off. He was sincerely protecting Qin Feiyang's safety. Because Qin Feiyang was the key to making him stronger, there must be no accidents. Besides, for a mere divine artifact, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were willing to risk their lives to rescue him. Such a person was not worthy of respect, not worthy of following. Boom! The torrent formed by various profound, carrying a monstrous aura, slammed onto the fire dragon's giant tail. On the giant tail, several dragon scales shattered on the spot, dragon blood splattered down. This was the strength of his desperation. Even if the other party had two kinds of profound, even if the physical body was naturally stronger than humans, as long as he was determined to go all out, he could still make the other party pay the price. You're courting death. The fire dragon was furious, ignoring the injuries of the giant tail, crazily pressing down. The torrent formed by various profound was annihilated on the spot. Pei Tianhong did not dodge. His entire body was emitting an unprecedented battle intent. Not only the power of law, but also divine power. All of it poured into his fist and punched out. Boom! Another dragon scale exploded. Dragon blood gushed out like a fountain. But Pei Tianhong also spat out a mouthful of blood. His body shook, and then like a meteorite, he flew out horizontally. If you want to die, I'll kill you first. The fire dragon was completely enraged. The law of force surged. A giant hand suddenly appeared out of nowhere. It was 10,000 feet long. It was like the palm of a god, covering the sky, shattering the void and the earth, exuding an aura of destruction. This was the supreme profound of the law of force. Boom! The giant hand fell from the sky, containing a terrifying power, slamming towards Pei Tianhong. Old Pei, I'm here to help you. At this moment, Wang Changyuan roared and finally charged over. The eye of thunder appeared in the sky. Thunder and lightning roared together, divine light boundless. In the next moment, there was a rumble of thunder, and a bolt of lightning pierced through the sky, shooting towards the giant hand. Chapter 3390. Seeing Wang Changyuan charging over, Pei Tianhong's spirit was roused, once again activating his profound law, charging towards the fire dragon. With the two of them working together, even the powerful fire dragon felt the pressure once again. Because from the two of them, one could feel a will to fight to the death. Weaklings weren't scary. What was scary was that when facing a strong enemy, they didn't even have the courage to fight. The same logic. As long as you were ruthless enough and fearless, even an ant was enough to make an elephant feel fear. Not to mention, the difference between the two of them and the fire dragon wasn't the same as the difference between an ant and an elephant. Although they were weaker than the fire dragon individually, the two of them together didn't have much of a difference. The only difference was the physical body and power. As a divine beast, the fire dragon's physical body and power were naturally stronger than theirs. However, although it was strong, it wasn't to the point where it could crush them. Firm and unyielding, fighting to the death. The two of them had an unyielding will, an unyielding fighting spirit, as sharp as a blade. Boom! The two of them collided with the giant tail. Roar! Following a dragon roar, the fire dragon's giant tail shattered on the spot, flesh and blood splattering everywhere. You guys are unforgivable. The fire dragon roared, its anger burning the sky. In its eyes, other than the 4 forbidden zones, the beings in the 4 continents of the sky cloud boundary were all ants. But now, it was actually heavily injured by 2 ants again and again. This was something its pride couldn't accept. Forbidden technique, fire dragon domain. As the roar landed, a fiery red barrier appeared. This barrier was tens of thousands of feet long, covering one side of the world, including the two of them. Immediately, inside the barrier, it turned into a sea of fire. Waves of fire were like giant pythons roaring. Roar! The two of them were perfect stage dominators, but inside this barrier, it was as if they were trapped in a world-destroying furnace. Their bodies were being incinerated. What is this? The two of them were shocked. The power of laws surged out, joining forces to attack the barrier. With a loud boom, the barrier twisted violently, but it didn't break. What? The two of them were dumbfounded. Even with their strength, they were unable to break through the barrier. Turn into ashes. The fire dragon laughed ferociously. The flames within the barrier became even more terrifying. They covered the sky and covered the earth as they surged towards Pei Tianhong and his companion. It was as if they had the divine might to burn the entire world. It wasn't just their physical bodies that were being incinerated. Even the nomological powers around them were being incinerated. No way. So strong? White-Eyed Wolf was also dumbfounded. Just now, I heard it say that this fire dragon domain seems to be a forbidden technique. Qin Feiyang frowned. The white-eyed wolf was slightly taken aback. He thought about it carefully and nodded. That's right, it did say that. Immediately, the hearts of man and wolf sank. So-called forbidden techniques were super-killing techniques that cost one's life and qi and blood. This kind of super-killing technique was far more powerful than the divine arts. Just like when Zhao Shaojin was in the trial grounds, facing the encirclement and sneak attack of Zhang Sanbao and the others, he activated a forbidden technique and used his life force as the price to exchange for extreme speed, bringing Qin Feiyang out of the encirclement. Generally speaking, even those who had mastered the forbidden technique would not casually activate it because the price was too great. But once it was activated, it was equivalent to an invincible existence. Just like now, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan were unable to break through the fire dragon domain even after joining forces. Attack! Support them! Qin Feiyang clenched his teeth, looked at the white-eyed wolf and the few heaven-defying sacred creatures beside him, and shouted. Clang! Boom! 3,000 incarnations, various profound mysteries. The few heaven-defying sacred creatures also displayed their abilities and crazily charged towards the fire dragon domain. However, the fire dragon domain was like a meteorite, indestructible. You want to break through the fire dragon domain with just you two? Do you think the forbidden technique is a joke? Go to hell. The fire dragon laughed in disdain, and the law of force's paramount mysteries appeared, bringing with it the power to destroy heaven and earth as it slapped towards Qin Feiyang and the others. It also knew its own limits. Even with the fire dragon domain, it couldn't kill Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan in a short period of time, so it attacked Qin Feiyang and the others first. Because in its eyes, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were a bigger threat than Pei Tianhong and the others. Although Pei Tianhong and the others were indeed stronger than Qin Feiyang and the others now, their future achievements would definitely surpass them. The white-eyed wolf was the best example. If it was allowed to grow, who would be able to subdue it in the future? Let's go. The dagger's artifact spirit roared. These divine items had already been heavily injured by the fire dragon, so they didn't dare to go against the supreme mysteries now. The white-eyed wolf frowned, waved its claws, and took Qin Feiyang and the other divine artifacts, turning around and activating the moment of time, escaping into the sky. Can you run away? The fire dragon simply left Pei Tianhong and the others behind, and stepped into the river of time, instantly appearing in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. Because the fire dragon domain was imprisoning Pei Tianhong and the others, it could temporarily ignore them. Too fast. The white-eyed wolf braked and stopped, its expression extremely ugly. Behind, the paramount mysteries of the law of force were coming at them aggressively. In front, the fire dragon personally blocked the path, and the law of time annihilated the sky. There was no way out. You youngsters are really arrogant, getting carried away after taking a little advantage. Do you know how many people are stronger than you in this world? Don't talk about sparring, even if I humiliate you and suppress you. What can you do? The fire dragon's eyes were full of disdain. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf clenched their fists. What? You're not convinced? But what can you do if you're not convinced? If I want to kill you, it's as easy as crushing an ant. As the fire dragon's voice fell, the giant hand formed by the supreme mysteries of the law of force behind Qin Feiyang and the others suddenly attacked. The dagger and the other heaven-defying divine items resolutely charged at the giant hand at full speed. They definitely had to resist. They couldn't just stand there and wait for death, right? Clang. However, facing the supreme mysteries, accompanied by a deafening sound, the divine items shattered one after another, and their light dimmed. Without any pause, the giant hand continued to attack Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. Damn it, I didn't expect to die here. The white-eyed wolf roared in disbelief. Don't give up. As long as you're alive, there's still hope. Qin Feiyong muttered as thoughts flashed through his mind, but in the end, he realized that he couldn't find a way to escape. If the other party was a greater mastery or even a perfected dominator, they would have a chance to kill their way out. But the other party was not only a perfected dominator, but also had two supreme mysteries. This was a complete and utter suppression. Without me, you guys are still not enough. But suddenly, the madman's laughter sounded in the inner area. Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were stunned and immediately looked toward the inner area. Boom. In the next instant, a monstrous aura erupted from the madman's location. Following closely, the madman rushed out from the black fog, and from the outside, he didn't seem to have changed at all. But whether it was Qin Feiyong or the white-eyed wolf, they could vaguely feel that the madman seemed to be different from before. Why are you in a daze? Run for your life. The madman shouted. The white-eyed wolf came back to his senses and swept up Qin Feiyong and the broken treasures, activated instant time, and flew away. The fire dragon's attention was also on the madman, and by the time it reacted, Qin Feiyong had already appeared on the other side of the fire dragon's domain. Boom! The gigantic hand that blotted out the sky slammed into the ground below, accompanied by an earth-shaking boom. A large part of the ground instantly shattered. Old Qin, brother wolf, I'll let you guys see my current strength. The madman laughed. Strength? The man and wolf were both surprised. The madman's gaze fell on the fire dragon, and a blood-red wave appeared in his eyes. In the blink of an eye, his two eyeballs were dyed red with blood. Boom! Immediately after, a violent aura rushed out from the madman's body. Immediately after, a terrifying scene appeared. The madman's 1.8-meter tall body began to grow in size. Is this the law of force? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. The 5 profound meanings of the law of force made the body become incomparably huge. It doesn't seem to be. Qin Feiyong shook his head. He had seen the law of force before, and he had mastered the law of force. The enlargement of the law of force was different from the madman's current enlargement, and now he didn't feel the aura of the law of force on the madman's body, and the madman didn't master the law of force. Wait, Qin Feiyong suddenly seemed to have discovered something. He stared at the madman's body without blinking. He saw blood-red hair growing out from the madman's body, covering his entire body. From afar, he looked like a giant blood ape. This appearance, where have I seen it before? The white-eyed wolf looked at the madman's current appearance, and his expression was full of surprise. Qin Feiyong nodded. It was very familiar. In the blink of an eye, the madman's body reached a height of 10,000 feet. His entire body was covered with blood-red hair, and that fierce aura was earth-shattering, crazily engulfing this world. I remember now. Suddenly, the white-eyed wolf shouted. What? Qin Feiyong was surprised. Blood demon race. The blood demon race looks like him after transforming. The white-eyed wolf exclaimed in disbelief. Yes, it's the blood demon race. Qin Feiyong also suddenly realized. The current madman's appearance was simply carved from the same mold as the transformed blood demon race. How could this be? He actually turned into a blood demon race? Could he really be the reincarnation of the blood demon race's ancestor? The white-eyed wolf muttered. This was too strange. A human actually mastered the transformation ability of the blood demon race. And after transforming, just like the blood demon race, the madman's aura also skyrocketed countless times. No, it was even more exaggerated than the blood demon race, because the aura that the madman was emitting was already comparable to a perfection sovereign realm expert. Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong were also dumbfounded in the fire dragon domain. What was this situation? How could a living person turn into a monster? Chapter 3391. Damn, so ugly. Madman lowered his head and looked at himself. His face was also filled with shock, as if he didn't know the result would be like this. Wait, isn't this the appearance of the blood demon race after transforming? I actually became a blood demon? Madman waved his hand, and the space in front of him distorted, quickly turning into a mirror. Looking at himself in the mirror, his mouth twitched. How was this still a human? He was clearly a monster. Truly strange. How did I become a blood demon? Could it really be like what old Qin said? I'm the reincarnation of the blood demon race's ancestor? Please don't. Please don't. Truly too ugly. If Xian'er saw this, wouldn't she hate to die? Madman shook his head. However, although it was a bit ugly, this power, this aura, it was truly satisfying. No matter what, he had to get rid of the fire dragon first. Shua. Madman suddenly raised his head and stared at the fire dragon. Old bastard. You dare to bully my brother. Take this. Boom. As soon as his words fell, he took a step forward and a large part of the void shattered. Like an ancient giant, he punched at the fire dragon. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that his fist was bigger than a mountain. The power of this fist could destroy the world. Humph. The fire dragon snorted and slapped out with his claw without backing down. Boom. In an instant, the fist and dragon claw collided. A wave of apocalyptic energy instantly rolled out in all directions with them as the center. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf hid behind the fire dragon's domain and weren't affected because the fluctuation was blocked by the fire dragon's domain. However, at this moment, their feelings could only be described with the word shock. Madman's current strength wasn't any weaker than the fire dragon's. The fist and dragon claw were in a deadlock in the void, as if neither could do anything to the other. One had to know. The fire dragon was at the perfection ruler realm. Madman was only at the early success ruler realm. Even after transforming, he couldn't be this strong. You always say that I'm a pervert. Who's the real pervert? The white-eyed wolf pouted. He felt that the transformed madman was even more ferocious than his 3 supreme laws. At the same time, the fire dragon's pupils shrank. The strength that the madman displayed greatly exceeded its expectations. The strength of this 10,000-foot-long body was not the slightest bit inferior to its divine dragon body. It was truly inconceivable. Although I don't know what happened to you, if you think you can defeat me like this, then you are gravely mistaken. The fire dragon's eyes shone fiercely as he went all out. His terrifying aura roared like angry waves as he retracted his dragon claws, raised his huge tail, and smashed it towards Madman. Does your father know how arrogant you are? The madman looked at it with disdain. He suddenly raised his hands and grabbed the giant tail. Boom. The power of the giant tail poured down. The madman's hands shook and blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. It seemed that, compared to the divine dragon body, his 10,000-foot-long body was still a little inferior. However, no matter how powerful the tail was, he didn't sink down, nor did he take a step back. He only shook a little, and then he stood in the void like a mountain, holding the fire dragon's huge tail with both hands. Obviously, even if it was weaker than the divine dragon body, it was not much weaker. Too strong. This is the divine dragon body. If it were you or me, just based on the strength of his physical body, we would not be his opponent. Pei Tianhong looked at Wang Changyuan and said in shock, yes, just based on physical body and strength, there is probably no one in the human race who can compete with him now. Wang Changyuan nodded. The two of them resisted the flames of the fire dragon domain, while paying attention to the battle between the madman and the fire dragon. The strength and physical strength that the madman displayed was something they had never seen before. He was simply a monster. You are courting death. With his majesty challenged, the fire dragon was filled with hostility. The law of force rolled out. Boom. As soon as the law of force appeared, the effect immediately became different. With a puff, the madman spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was like a meteorite, smashing into the ground below. Whether it was divine power or the law of force, they could all increase one's lethality. In other words, having a strong physical body and strength did not mean that one was invincible. One still had to understand the law of force. Unless your physical body and strength were so strong that even the law of force could be destroyed with one punch. But this kind of physical body and strength had never appeared before. Whether it existed or not was still unknown. Boom! The madman smashed into the ground below, creating a huge crater. His body was covered in wounds and instantly turned into a bloody man. Just this? Huolong looked down at Madman, his expression full of contempt. Jie, however. Before the fire dragon finished speaking, the madman's laughter sounded. The surrounding demon force crazily rushed into his body. The injuries on his body were all healed in an instant. Damn! Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were dumbfounded. What was going on? The demon force had the ability to heal injuries? The fire dragon was also dumbfounded. Who didn't know about the demon force? Not only was it useless to living beings, but it would also erode divine power, divine soul, and law of force. But now, it could actually heal the madman's injuries? What kind of joke was this? Was this still the demon force that made people tremble in fear? You want to kill me? You're not strong enough. The madman laughed and jumped up. His body emitted a shocking aura. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, a stone door appeared in the sky. There were many skulls on it, emitting a thick aura of death. It was the fifth law of death, the gate of hell. The aura of the gate of hell seems to be different. The white-eyed wolf muttered. What do you mean by seems? It's clearly the case. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. The aura of the gate of hell was not the aura of an early-stage ruler. It was the aura of a peak-stage ruler. In other words, the madman's activation of the fifth law was equivalent to a peak-stage ruler activating the fifth law of death. It was exactly the same as the blood demon race. After transforming, whether it was the physical body, power, or other aspects, it would be greatly improved. Thinking back to the past, after the one-eyed giant in mysterious sky ancient city transformed, he only relied on his peak stage Nine Heavens Realm cultivation to face thousands of Nine Heavens Realm experts, including many supreme grade divine artifacts and divine arts. One had to know. Supreme grade divine artifacts and divine arts were comparable to the peak stage Nine Heavens Realm. Even so, the one-eyed giant still relied on its transformed strength to crush them like they were twigs. This ability was like the blood word imprint. It could increase one's strength in all aspects. However, there was one thing that Qin Feiyong couldn't figure out. The blood demon race transformed with the help of the evil moon and could only transform at night. But now, although the demon land was dark all year round, it was clearly daytime. Moreover, there was no evil moon. What did the madman use to transform? In the sky, the fire dragon looked at the gate of hell, and the shock in his eyes became stronger. What kind of monster was this person transformed from? The power of the law was determined by one's cultivation, but the madman's fifth profound was actually this strong? It didn't make sense. Boom. But he didn't underestimate it. He activated the supreme profound of the law of force. A giant hand appeared out of nowhere and slammed towards the gate of hell. With a loud clang, the gate of hell was sent flying and shattered into pieces. Obviously, even if the madman's fifth profound reached the peak stage dominator realm after transforming, he still couldn't block the supreme profound, even if it was only the supreme profound of the law of force. After all, the difference between the fifth profound and the supreme profound was too great. However, whether it was the fire dragon or Qin Feiyong and the others, they could clearly feel that the madman could fight against a peak stage dominator realm expert after transforming. Even if the other party didn't grasp the supreme profound, they might not be able to defeat the madman. Unimaginable. Boom. The fire dragon took advantage of the situation and pursued. The giant hand slammed down. The madman groaned and was once again slammed into the ground. His body shattered into pieces. However, as the power of the surrounding demons surged into his body, his torn flesh instantly healed, and he jumped out of the pit full of vigor. The fire dragon was dumbfounded. Qin Feiyong and the others were also dumbfounded. This recovery ability was too abnormal. It was even more terrifying than the red blood word imprint. The blood demon race could also summon the power of the evil moon to recover, but compared to the madman, they weren't on the same level. Haha, although it's a bit ugly, I'm quite satisfied with its power. The madman looked at himself and laughed wildly. The current him could be said to be even more terrifying than the fire dragon with the blood word imprint. Let's see how long you can be arrogant for. The fire dragon was enraged. All the profound laws were unleashed, emitting an unparalleled destructive power. Although the madman was ridiculously strong, when the fire dragon used all his strength, he couldn't help but feel the threat of death. After all, the fire dragon in front of him was a super expert that grasped two supreme, profound laws. He was on a completely different level from the previous fire dragon. The madman glanced at the fire dragon's domain and took a step forward. He instantly landed in front of the fire dragon's domain and shouted, "Let's destroy this thing together." Okay. Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong nodded. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and attacked with all their strength. Boom. All the profound skills emitted a monstrous power. The madman's fist also exploded with a destructive power. In an instant, all the attacks landed on the same spot, because if the attacks were too scattered, the damage wouldn't reach its peak. On the contrary, if they all landed on the same spot, then the damage would all be concentrated on one point. Naturally, it would be easier to destroy the fire dragon's domain. However, a forbidden technique was indeed a forbidden technique. Even if all the attacks were concentrated on one point, the fire dragon's domain didn't shatter. It was only crazily twisting without a single crack appearing. Damn, the madman was stunned. I know you're a forbidden technique, but it shouldn't be this abnormal. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.